Vice President Pence would restore a lot of dignity, respect for the Constitution of the United States, and a lot of trust in the Oval Office.
But Young also isn't sure if Pence is the candidate he wants to support. He does believe, though, that it's time for new leadership in the Republican Party, and whoever gets the nomination needs to be able to beat Joe Biden. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A person badly hurt this morning when a car ran into a gas pump at a Valero station on the east side. It was near East Michigan and Sherman. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor was not at practice Tuesday. Everything is normal, though, says head coach Shane Steichen.
Yeah, this is just part of his rehab process. If you guys don't see him out here, it's part of his rehab. And he's rehabbing his ankle, and like I said, once the medical staff clears him and he's 100%, he'll be out on practice center.
Still no resolution to Taylor's contract situation. Traffic on the fives, Matt Baer.
All right, Kurt, now we have a crash on the south side. It is westbound 465 at South Meridian. That's after 31. The right lane is blocked. Traffic stop for a mile. Not as bad as Lawrence has it right now. Northbound 465, ugly from I-70 up to 71st Street. A crash blocking two right lanes. There's no shoulder in this construction zone, so of course we're stopped. Stop back to I-70. Delay is fluctuating. Right now I have it at 86 minutes. Traffic sponsored by Napa Auto Parts with nearly 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores and over 17,000 Napa Auto Care centers. Napa is the fuel that helps drivers like you get up and go. I'm Matt Baer with Traffic on the Fives on Twitter at WIBC Traffic.
Hammer Nigel here. I know Jay's Lobster and Fish Market there in the Garage Food Hall, Bottle Works District, downtown Hammer, specializes in the lobster rolls, but they got a new item on the menu that I tried the other day. Absolutely delicious. You have to try the lobster hoagie.
Lobster hoagie?
It is incredible, not to mention, of course, the lobster mac and cheese is addicting.
I'm in love with Palavano Cubano, the Cuban restaurant. I'm telling you, the best Reuben you will ever have is the Cuban Reuben. Stop by, tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Were you hurt in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident? The insurance companies may chisel away any hope you have of winning your case, and they don't have the advantage of video proof that the Hammer may have. Call us today or visit roadproof.wewin.com.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Mostly sunny morning, some scattered storms later this afternoon. Today's high 83. Showers and storms likely this evening. Some heavy rain and maybe a few strong storms. A low of 66. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
Mostly sunny and 69 on Monument Circle. I'm Kirk Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Kev's here. Casey's out again today. Ethan Hatcher from Saturday Night on the Circle in her place. And we start the program with, well, the potential for a gag order against Donald Trump. And they believe that as of Friday, the judge could issue a gag order against Donald Trump due to his propensity to talk about absolutely everything. And now apparently Jack Smith feels threatened by Donald Trump's social media posts, and we will see what happens. But Ethan, to me, the enforceability or legality of a gag order on a guy running for president of the United States, in which the charges against him and his ability to beat them would seem to be paramount to his ability to be president of the United States, I maintain that's completely unenforceable. What saith you?
So much of this is completely uncharted territory. We've never been here before, Rob, but to a certain extent, this may be, ironically, in a legal sense, the best thing for Trump. Maybe his lawyers are breathing a sigh of relief because of his propensity to use his mouth in a way that gets him in trouble.
Well, okay. And there's
now, whether it's enforceable, because it is absolutely a component of his campaign, that remains questionable. But we've never been here before where a former president has been indicted of not one, but, charged with not one, but 70 multiple federal offenses. So this is interesting.
So there's two sides of this, and you're right. There is the side in which you say, as an attorney, your client talks way too much. However, who else has a client who is the likely major party nominee for president of the United States? That's never happened before. And so it really is, it is such a weird position to be in where he has to talk about this. He has to address it. He has to be Trump because so much of the Trump support is based on his ability to directly engage in whatever crisis that he has entered himself into, and it has always been that way. And I'm not sure, based on freedom of speech, and the courts have long given great deference, especially to political speech, that you can gag some guy when this clearly has to be political speech. I'm not saying this as a Trump supporter or whatever. I'm saying he absolutely has to be able to address the issues because it's, again, the central part of him being president of the United States is the ability to beat these charges, both in the courtroom and in the courtroom of public opinion.
Oh, Rob, I'm loath to agree with you and give you the win here, but you're absolutely right that political speech in particular is given the highest level of deference, as it should, within the First Amendment rights guaranteed by our Constitution as they've come to be understood in the legal framework. So, yes, it is important for Trump to be able to communicate that message no matter how it enrages the people who hate him the most.
So Trump was in New Hampshire yesterday, and by the way, there's a poll out, we'll get to it later in the show, that shows him, whatever it is, it's 34 points or something like that ahead of DeSantis, who is in second place there. So as with the rest of the country, he's winning overwhelmingly. But he was in New Hampshire and had a rally, and it was very well attended, as they always are. And there he said Biden is weaponizing the DOJ on him anytime Biden's corruption get exposed.
Joe Biden is the most incompetent and corrupt president in U.S. history. The Biden crime family was taking in money from China, Ukraine, Russia, all these places he has to deal with, and so many others. And now whenever more Biden corruption is exposed, his henchmen charge me with a crime. When they get something on Biden, let's indict. Let's add on another indictment to that stupid indictment that we filed. Let's add on another one because that takes the news cycle. Unfortunately, I get disproportionate publicity. So they indict me. He's right. Great balls. But so they indict. So when they want to keep something, they say, oh, man, they got Hunter again.
He's right. I mean, we played this out. The timeline is unbelievable, and they're so brazen about it. The timeline, it is like every time something comes out about Hunter or Joe, here's another indictment.
Okay, that was going to be my question to you. Is he right? Because the timing is absolutely damning. Certainly, there does seem to be some connection there on the timeline. But my question is, it successfully distracting from the malfeasance of the Biden crime family? Because those stories continue to come to light. The congressional testimony is still on the record. There's still coverage of the IRS whistleblowers and all sorts of stuff, from the Hunter laptop continues to come to light. Has it really distracted from the story or killed it in any way?
Well, what did we lead our show?
Or is this just adding to the cacophony?
What did we lead our show with today?
Well,
Donald Trump. What did we lead our show with the day before?
But you're the one who put the outline together.
Well, no.
You could have led with anything you wanted.
But we do it, Ethan. Generally, so a little insider baseball here. Generally, in talk radio, especially a show as successful as this one, and as a radio station as successful as this one, your story you lead the hour with is what you believe is the most interesting and what will most captivate people. So yesterday it was old Silent Suzanne and Fredo Pence breaking up, because that's super palace intrigue, and those two people totally deserve each other, and it was great to watch them take a giant dive to the bottom of the ocean together. Today it's Trump. The day before that it was Trump. The majority of our stories are Trump. So in the sense of when I'm putting a template together, when I'm putting our show together, I'm looking at what I think is the most likely thing to interest our audience or be the most relevant story for our audience. Clearly it was Trump. It's Trump in the gag order. It's Trump in the rally, and it's Trump addressing these things.
But just because we've covered these things, does that mean you've taken your eye off the ball regarding the Biden crime family and the wrongdoings of Hunter Biden and the business association with his father? Have you forgotten about all that? Will you never cover it again because it's now Trump, 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 Trump?
Yeah, but Ethan, here's the thing. When you are a man of a relationship, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever done something that you were like, well, my significant other is not going to be real thrilled about that. Have you done that? Now, you're a very good spouse or significant other or whatever, so maybe not. But those of us, the majority of us, have had that moment, and what you do is you do everything in your power to deflect, to distract, in hopes that the audience, in this case, the audience would be your spouse or your girlfriend or whatever, will eventually become so distracted by all the things that you have thrown at the wall, she will eventually forget the thing.
And is that the media in this analogy?
Well, I think that's what they're that's what they're doing here. They're trying to get people to cover everything with Trump or pay attention to everything with Trump that is not Biden. Now, you're right. Clearly, people are covering it. People know what Joe Biden is. But as of right now, Donald Trump has been indicted over 75 times. Joe Biden has been indicted 0 times. And Hunter Biden, save for one smart, astute judge, would have got a sweetheart plea deal walking out. So thus far,
because of this, though, they have opened the floodgates for that to potentially happen if the Republicans had any stones and hair on their peaches.
Oh, Ethan, Republicans and stones and hair on their peaches. We all know that's not going to happen. Speaking of Trump, more from New Hampshire says 2020 was rigged and stolen, and Biden's going after the people who want to prove it.
There's never a second of any day that I didn't believe that election was rigged. It was a rigged election. It was a rigged election, and it was a stolen, disgusting election. And this country should be ashamed. And they go after the people that want to prove that it was rigged and stolen, so it never happens. They go after them. They don't go after the people that rigged it, okay? And we'll see how it all turns out. You know, we've been right about a lot of things, right? You ever see Trump was right about everything, ultimately? Let's see how that all works out. So in other words, I'll be the only politician in American history not allowed to speak because of our corrupt system. Sir, you're not allowed to speak on the show. In other words, I'll come here and I'll say, hi, everybody. Listen, not allowed to speak. Please vote for me, New Hampshire, if you would. Bye.
And then, I tweeted this yesterday. Trump is too fun not to vote for. I mean, it's not going to matter whether it's DeSantis or who. It's hilarious because the whole thing is a giant joke and a scam.
Yes.
Our entire government is a bunch of.
It is a joke,
right? So let's just put it on display for everyone. It won't matter whether it's DeSantis or Tim Scott or whoever gets in there. They're not going to change anything anyway. Let's just sprint this thing to the pits of hell, and then maybe we can start the whole thing over with.
Ride the decline.
Yeah, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey today. When we come back, there is a new law in the state of Indiana that is now headed to court over your ability to hold law enforcement accountable while they're doing their job. We'll talk about it coming up next. Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC. Hey, guys, question. What's 12 times 3? It's 36. You're so good. How would you like to get a 36% bonus when you invest your money? So if you invest $100,000, you get a $36,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $72,000 bonus. Hey, it is Rob from the Kendall and Casey Show. You know that because you're listening to us. Not only can you get a 36% bonus, you also get a competitive return, an average of 7% a year for the past 10 years. Plus, your money is backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. To learn more, call Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy, at 317-932-9912. This 36% bonus won't last long, so call 317-932-9912, 317-932-9912. 36% bonus, Bill Demery, 317-932-9912. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
Hammer and Nigel.
On the campaign trail, Ron DeSantis went to a couple different places.
I'm a very hardcore Trump supporter. This is the most important vote that we're going to have.
Who would be better at legislating, beating Joe Biden,
restoring this country to what the founding fathers envisioned?
Your heart against your mind. Trump against DeSantis. Who you got?
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup is built to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $800 on qualifying implements. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer.
Stop by McAllister Machinery and Fishers in Indianapolis to see our full line of Kubota. Visit us online at McAllisterKubota.com.
Hey race fans, this is Tim Wicker from Electric Plus. When you're looking for an electrical contractor to take care of your next construction project, facility upgrade, or simple maintenance work, make sure you call Electric Plus to give you a professional and top quality project with the best team members in the industry. Just like race car drivers desire to be the best, the mission of Electric Plus is to be the best electrical contractor, period. Visit our website at electricplus.com to see how we can take care of your electrical needs.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your health assessment at Low T Center. They offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatment for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance.
And if you don't live near a Low T Center or you just want the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy, shipping your treatments directly to you with the peace of mind of monitored treatment. Go to lowtcenter.com right now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close, or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Right now, take advantage of Rhino Shield's summer savings. Get $1,000 off plus 0% interest for 18 months.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's like a jackal from hell.
And Casey Daniels.
Oh, hot. Want to touch the hiney.
93 WIBC.
A law that changes how you can hold the police accountable is headed to court. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey today. So this past legislative session, the state of Indiana, it was House Enrolled Act 1186, passed a bill that now requires people to be at least 25 feet away from law enforcement while conducting official business. And that, and let me say this as someone who, obviously, I am a huge supporter of law enforcement. My father was a federal law enforcement officer. That seems like an egregious amount of space based on the fact that I think the public has a vested interest, and clearly many communities, most states now agree, based on the fact that most of these people are wearing body cams, has a vested interest in a public space being able to record and hold police accountable. And I think the police should want that too, based on accusations that get thrown out all the time. The more eyes and ears that are on a law enforcement officer doing his or her job in public, the better off we're all going to be from an accountability standpoint. I understand the need for space for police to be able to do their job.
Yeah.
However, 25 feet seems rather excessive.
Well, they already have crime scene tape. They can already tape off an area of investigation, a barrier that you cannot cross without broaching a law. So this is an additional space. And it seems somewhat unenforceable or nebulous because the case that has brought this to attention involved a person who was recording already at a distance greater than 25 feet, at which point the officers approached him and demanded an additional 25 for a total of 50 or greater feet away from the scene on public grounds. Like if you're on a sidewalk, if you're in a public area, you absolutely have the First Amendment right to film activities of the government. Like, yes.
Yeah, and that's the crux of it, right? Is if you're 25 feet away, it's hard to get a good shot. Now, obviously you can, HD cameras, whatever. But to put this in perspective, so how far away is 25 feet? Well, Miles Turner, who, Ethan, I know you're a man of the sports, is a basketball player on the Indiana Pacers. He's a center. He's a very good player. Most people hearing our voices now would know who Miles Turner is. Miles Turner is 6'11". So essentially, you could stretch down 3.5 Miles Turners, and that's how far away you would have to be in order to comply with this law. If you've ever seen Miles Turner, and then you can picture 3.5 of him, that's a long way away, and probably more than is necessary in order to ensure that police have safety. I mean,
I love your system of measurement.
By that account of, well,
it's very imperial.
You try to put things in perspective of what people understand of how ridiculous this kind of is. I mean, look, if you're on the sidewalk and a police officer pulls somebody over to arrest him, should you be up in that police officer's grill? No. Should you be in his business or her business? No. Should you be distracting from him or her being able to do her job? No.
But all those things are already crimes.
Right. You're exactly correct. So the idea that I think if you're 10 feet away, you're not interfering if the police are questioning someone, and you have the right to be able to hear the conversation that's going on in most cases. And I'm very rare and loath to agree with the ACLU.
Yeah, I was about to say you're burying the lead here.
But in this case, and occasionally they do get it right, that this is an area in which probably there is a South Bend man who has a YouTube account where that's what he does. He posts videos of police interacting with the public, etc. That's who they're representing in this case. They are probably in the right, and this law seems rather excessive based on the fact that there are fines, etc., jail time potentially associated with violating this law. I don't think simply innocently filming the police or simply innocently trying to make sure that there is video of people doing their job in public, government workers doing their job in public, is warranting jail time or a $500 fine.
And also, First Amendment protections are foundational to the continuation of our liberty, so they need to be granted the highest level of protection in our society.
Yeah, and that's what the Indiana General Assembly does. We saw this with the law they wrote to try to take away Holcomb's emergency powers. It's amazing how crappy some of these laws are written and conceived based on the fact that there's a bunch of attorneys inside the Indiana General Assembly, but that's the way it goes. We'll see. I think they're going to lose in court, and that's probably a good thing for accountability and transparency. All right, Ethan, when we come back, there is a new Mike Pence ad out, and it is so ridiculous. There is such an obvious flaw in this thing. I mean, he is, of course, wholly ridiculous, but we're going to play the audio for you, and we're going to get some audience participation and see if you can hear. You don't even have to see it. You can hear the obvious flaw in the new Mike Pence ad. Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey. Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Do you get sinus infections, congestion, sinus pressure and pain above your eyes, below your eyes, sinus headaches? You've gone to the doctor. You've visited urgent care over and over again, and it's always the same thing. Oh, I know. Let's try antibiotics and nasal sprays. But the sinus infections keep coming back. The good news? Relief is possible. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of Indianapolis Sinus Center called balloon sinuplasty. Imagine the relief of not having to deal with your sinus infections anymore. Set an appointment today with Indianapolis Sinus Center and find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Call 317-528-9650. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650.
The U.S. home price index is on the rise and interest rates are stabilizing. The market is turning more seller-friendly. If you've been waiting, now may be the best time to sell your home. Find out with the agent I recommend, Mark Dietl. Perhaps you're worried about settling for less money with a low-ball instant offer. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Ben in Indianapolis had to say about working with Mark Dietl. I wanted to upgrade into a bigger place, so selling my old place at top dollar was a priority. I hired Mark Dietel, and the team was amazing. I got a great cash offer before going on the market that including closing costs with no appraisal. I was blown away by the Mark Dietel team. Call for all the details. Call the agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold, or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel, 317-755-4232, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com. markdietel.com.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Get ready for incredible speed and high-octane fun. The Indy Airstrip Attack returns to Marion, Indiana Airport August 11th and 13th. This fast-paced racing event showcases some of the most powerful cars in the world. Presented by Revolution and Shift Sector. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
What is 988? It's a way forward. It's a listening ear. It's whatever help you need, when you need it. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline offers trained crisis specialists ready to talk to you 24/7. If you or someone you love is experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis in their life, call or text 988. Want more information? Visit 988indiana.org.
50 years ago, Brown versus Board of Education outlawed segregated schools, promising the American dream to everyone. The dream of Oliver Brown was quality education for all children. But in many schools, children are being left behind. The responsibility of educating Indiana students rests on us all, from educators and administrators to parents and community leaders. Brown's dream of a quality education is the birthright of every Hoosier and a civil right guaranteed to us by the state of Indiana. If you feel your civil rights or those of your child have been neglected, or that your child has been purposely denied access to the education resources, you have options. Call the Indiana Civil Rights Commission at 1-866-FAIR-FOR-YOU. That's 1-866-332-4748. Or visit our website at in.gov/ICRC. This message is brought to you by the State of Indiana Civil Rights Commission.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Looks like a new direction again. It's 70 degrees and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. This presidential campaign is getting a shakeup. Fox's Tanya J. Powers.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign is restructuring for the third time in less than a month. DeSantis' campaign manager will move to a strategy role and has been replaced with the governor's chief of staff, while a former senior advisor to the super PAC supporting DeSantis has been named deputy campaign manager. It follows recent layoffs and a shift in strategy, as well as financial worries for the campaign. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
President Biden is set to outline plans to prohibit some investments in Chinese technology. The goal is to keep U.S. money from bolstering China's military and other threats to national security. You've probably heard about Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor's contract situation. Taylor wasn't at practice on Tuesday. Head coach Shane Steichen says he wants Taylor on the field.
I'd like to see that. We'll see how it all plays out, though. Again, once he's cleared, he'll be out here.
But Steichen says Tuesday was just an injury rehab day for Taylor. And now the stock report. We're mixed at the opening bell. The Dow was down 12 points at 35,383. The Nasdaq is up 19 to 15,373. And the S&P 500 is up 4 to 4,522. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Well-changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Mike Pence is completely ridiculous. And this new ad, I don't even know where to begin. 93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. Casey's not here. Ethan Hatcher is in for Casey today. Casey will be back tomorrow. Kev is here. And one of the things about so many of these politicians, Ethan, is they simply do not know how to. They're simply incapable of peopling. Like, they're just incapable of being regular people. And it amazes me that we, the people, keep electing these people who don't know how to do the things that we do on a daily basis. And so there's a new ad out for Mike Pence where he is at a gas pump. And you are led to believe that he is pumping his gas. It is about Biden. It is about how Biden's destroyed the energy market and gas is more expensive because of Biden and blah, blah, blah. And of course, he's it looks like a truck. He's using a pickup truck of some sort, and he's got sleeves rolled up. He's just a regular guy, Ethan, who's pumping his gas. And he gives you the perception during the ad, he's holding on to the pump. Hey, I'm pumping this gas. The only problem is, and one of the things I've always maintained about Mike Pence, one of the biggest problems for Mike Pence, is that he has complete idiots around him who are total yes men, toady stooges, who just tell him whatever he wants to hear, and they're not actually qualified to do, in many cases, the job in front of them. And this is a great example because they missed this obvious thing. And you have to listen at home. You have to pay very close attention. But if you listen closely, you will hear the gas pump beeping at him that he has not picked a fuel to put into the truck.
That's a vital component.
Yes. Anybody who's ever pumped any gas knows when you put your credit card in or whatever, it says approved. You raise the nozzle, says please select the type of fuel. It's unleaded, regular, premium, whatever you're picking. That's the biggest component, other than putting it into your car, is picking the gas. So we're going to play this ad for you. You do have to listen a little closely, but if you put your ear up to the radio, it's throughout the whole ad, too. It's not like it just beeped once. It's the whole ad. Kevin, go.
Hey, everybody. Mike Pence here. Remember $2 a gallon gas? I do. And then Joe Biden became president of the United States and launched his war on energy. Since that time, gasoline prices are up 60%. Electricity prices are up 25%.
There it is.
Joe Biden's war on energy is causing real hardship for working families, small businesses, and family farms. But we've got a plan to relieve all of that. We just unveiled the Pence energy plan that will not only put our country back on a path to energy independence, but by 2040, we will reclaim America's role as the leading producer of energy in the world. Join us in the fight for American energy leadership by going to MikePence2024.com. We can lead the world once again to a more prosperous and a secure future for America with energy independence and American energy leadership.
The whole ad, Ethan. It's beeping right in front of him, the whole ad. And this doofus is so just unaware of his surroundings that wouldn't you stop and go, this thing is beeping at me. It's a little distracting.
Well, let's not get carried away here, Rob. What if they didn't like their first take? What I mean by this is, how many times can you fill up a gas tank unless you have multiple vehicles standing by? Maybe he wasn't mic'd up properly. Maybe there was one of the many shootings that happened around Indianapolis that distorted the audio. And so after you already filled up the gas tank, well, crap, we got to start all over and shoot this thing again. Take two. And now we can't fill up the gas tank, so we just got to, play pretend.
Yeah, that doesn't fly, though, because it's not that he didn't put gas in the car. It's that he didn't select a gas to put in the car.
Well, why would you select a gas if it's already full?
Because the whole thing's staged, Ethan. The whole thing is staged. The whole thing is made up. He's not actually putting gas in the car.
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Stop.
Is this the worst thing about Mike Pence, though? Because this is like the glass of water with the Marco Rubio. No. Like, is that the worst thing about Michael Pence?
Well, no, it's not the worst thing, but it shows. And remember the Todd Young ad, the staged photo of him at the gas pump last year, where whatever it was it the actual
Okay.
It was on the wrong side. It had the wrong side of the car.
Yeah, I was getting deja vu about this because I thought there was another story about a gas pump goofery, but I couldn't remember what it was.
What it tells you is these people, and I was talking with a buddy last night about this who works in state government and will remain nameless because he's actually one of like 7 people qualified over there, and I want him to remain gainfully employed. We were talking about this. How many people of these people running for president could actually pump their own gas? Like if you said you must pull into this filling station and actually pump your own gas, how many of them could actually do it?
Not Todd Rokita. I'm pretty sure that was one of the things on his list.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying of the people running for president, I'm fairly certain. I think Pence could actually pull it off if you know, like he had to do it. I think he could probably pull it off. I think Tim Scott probably could do it. Maybe Ramaswamy. There's no way Chris Christie could do it. DeSantis was in the military. He probably had to put fuel in something at one point. He could probably do it. There's no way.
By that logic, Pete Buttigieg could probably do it.
Well,
he also is the transportation
but he has the electric cars, so he doesn't know how to do that.
Right.
I'm not sure. I don't think Nikki Haley could do it. I don't know. Burgum's super rich. He probably hasn't done it a while. Trump probably couldn't do it. I think that'd be very interesting. I think you should be disqualified from running for president if you can't actually put gas in your own car. What do you think?
Or we could have them do like a Price is Right game with grocery store prices. Like if they haven't shopped for their own groceries in a while, you know, there's too out of touch to be a participating member of the legislature.
All right, real quick, I wanted to get to this. Something big happened in the world of media yesterday, and that is that Dave Portnoy announced that he is buying back Barstool from Penn. And I'm going to play you this audio. Barstool has been a juggernaut for a very long time. And it has kind of not done as well as it had in the past once it merged in with Penn because it had to operate in the mainstream. I'm going to play this audio from Dave Portnoy, and then I'm going to explain why this is important.
Penn Entertainment and Barstool Sports have gone our separate ways. As of this moment, while you were watching this video, I have purchased back Barstool Sports from Penn. So that is right. For the first time in a decade, I own 100% of Barstool Sports. Not since the Chernin deal have I been in total control of everything. Why did it happen? How did it happen? Well, I think Penn, who I have nothing but great things to say, I've said that all the way along with the Penn relationship. I have nothing but the most respect from Jay, his whole team, everything. We did this deal about 3 years ago, and I think both parties are like, we're going to take this thing to the moon. And we underestimated just how tough it is for myself and Barstool to operate in a regulated world where gambling regulators, the New York Times, Business Insider, hit pieces, fucking with the stock price every time. One step forward, 2 steps back. We got denied licenses because of me, you name it. So the regulated industry, probably not the best place for Barstool Sports and the type of content we make.
Okay, so what he's basically saying there is that he could not operate in a regulated industry. He could not make it work in a regulated industry. And I thought that was very interesting because it shows how much when the government gets involved. Look, Barstool's a juggernaut. It was making $1 gajillion. It was one of the most popular media outlets in the entire world. And it really struggled once it got under the thumb of the government, Ethan.
6 most frightening words in the English language. I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
Yeah, and so it was freely an admission of how the government stifles super creative, super productive, super, just super cash cow that was Barstool, which is why Penn wanted to get in with them because clearly they saw what Barstool brought to the table. They couldn't do it. And so I just thought that was a great real world example of no matter how great you are, no matter how creative you are, no matter how successful you are, if you have to operate in a world in which the government gets involved, it becomes markedly more hard to be successful. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Jim Merritt's going to join us. We'll talk about that debacle that was yesterday for old Fredo Pence, silent Suzanne Crouch. Terrible day for them. We'll get the details from a guy who spent 30 years in the Indiana Senate and what the fallout might be. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, it's not reverse racism, it's just progressivism. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Stop right now and ask yourself, what is most important to you? Hey, this is Casey Weed at Howard Bailey Financial, the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. We believe in developing retirement plans driven by what is most important to you, your purpose. Then we can build what we call your financial life plan, made up of 4 main pillars: liquidity for emergencies, income to last a lifetime, flexibility to adapt, estate planning to maximize your legacy, and finally, tax planning to maximize what you can spend and pass on. To learn more about saving on your taxes, get your free digital tax guide. Just call or text TAX42 to 866-482-9559. That's TAX42 to 866-482-9559.
Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND-disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be.
Welcome to today's matinee.
Ever since we got Xfinity, my little sister and her friends can easily stream all their favorite stuff.
We'll start with 2 episodes of Top Chef, then Chopped.
When I was a kid, we'd worry about buffering. Now they just worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Enjoy these fine meats and cheeses.
These are just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese.
Indeed.
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network. Introducing the best value in live TV and streaming on the best network with Xfinity Internet and Now TV. Now through August 28th, get internet on the Xfinity 10G network for $30 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, add Now TV with Peacock Premium, a $5.99 a month value included at no extra cost for just $20 a month. Switch today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Now TV requires Xfinity Internet. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Stream Top Chef on Peacock.
AAA came to the rescue for me once again. Got into my car to go to work. Nothing. Dead. Everything. Dead as a doornail. Battery was fried. So I called AAA. They came out within a half hour, took the old battery out, put a brand new one in, and I was on my way. Flat tires, dead batteries, run out of gas. AAA is there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 a year.
Did you know the AAA members can get into the Indiana State Fair for free on AAA Day? Just show your AAA card at the gate Wednesday, August 16th. My AAA membership saves me money each year, and it practically pays for itself. So what are you waiting for? Join AAA today. Get your AAA membership by going to AAA.com, calling 844-GO-AAA-GO, or stopping by a local AAA office. Save the date, AAA Day at the Indiana State Fair, Wednesday, August 16th. AAA members get in for free. Details at AAA.com.
Hey, we're pretty social people at WIBC. You can find us all over social media. See what we're up to on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're never more than just away. Just search for 93 WIBC.
There is so much drama going on between Suzanne Crouch and Greg Pence, and I am here for all of it. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. And look who it is, our old friend. He spent 30 years in the Indiana Senate. He knows these people like the back of his hand. The great Jim Merritt. How are you?
Morning, Robert.
It pained me yesterday to have to take a victory lap because, there was it was all sorts of bad day for Greg Fredo Pence and silent Suzanne Crouch, and this whole apparent alliance between them that she was going to run for governor and he was going to be the running mate. Well, it kind of blew up, and within hours of us discussing that on our show, she ran to Brian Howie. She said, not that she admitted to a formal offer, but she said, Greg Pence is going to have to just run for lieutenant governor like everyone else. That was a quick 180 done by Suzanne Crouch since Robert Vane, her spokesperson, had confirmed, he's totally under consideration. That was a total 180. Are you surprised at how quick Suzanne backpedaled out of that?
Oh, God bless Robert Vane. He's got his hands
He's
full.
A good guy.
Robert, these are unforced errors, and we know I go to a lot of Republican meetings and whatnot, dinners and whatever county fairs and things like that. And it was kind of baked in the cake that Congressman Pence was going to be the next lieutenant governor candidate. And
time out. So this is important. Because a lot of people say, wow, this is just rumor, it was just conjecture. You go to all these things, and so the scuttlebutt at these dinners, at these fairs, at these booths was, oh yeah, Suzanne, she's picking Greg.
Oh, I think it's a done deal. And who knows if it was the Pence camp or the Crouch camp, but nobody was denying it for the last 6 months. And we know that Congressman Pence provided $35,000 for the Crouch campaign. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. It's no, and I said this yesterday, and hopefully you can back me up on this. You're not giving $35,000 to anyone out of the goodness of your heart, no matter how good of friends you may be with them.
No, and we know that our friends in the political genre, if you will, Representative Mike Speedy and others, were looking at Congressman Pence's seat as running in next year's primary.
That's also important. So let's say, Kendall was just making all of this up, and he's just a disruptor, and he's just a you-know-what-ster.
No.
But Mike Speedy is a state rep here in the state of Indiana.
Well thought of.
And maybe a fine guy. I think I met him once or twice. Doesn't matter. He was actively out there exploring running for Congress because he thought Greg Pence was going to be lieutenant governor.
Well, a lot of times, if you're a state rep, you don't usually go to Lincoln Days and things and events in other counties that you don't represent. So he was just getting out there and getting to know people, and I really enjoy talking with him, and there's nothing against him at all, but it was quite obvious in the infrastructure of the Republican Party that Greg Pence, it was a locked deal. And now everybody's scrambling, and the lieutenant governor is saying it's not my right, and whatnot, and it just makes next year's convention really interesting.
Jim Merritt's our guest. We're talking about this big blow up the other day, that the big debacle between Suzanne Crouch and old silent Suzanne and Greg Fredo Pence, and how that fell apart. And okay, so I'm curious, because you've been involved in a lot of high-profile, super secretive, big-time conversations. How does that go? If indeed, as you're saying, look, everybody was talking about this on the ground, and then the Speedy guy is out there seemingly getting ready to run for Congress. If indeed that was a thing, she's got to call him and go, sorry, Greg, you're donezo? I mean, how does that phone call from Suzanne Crouch to Greg Pence even go?
Well, I don't know, because...
And is he like, can I have my $35,000 back?
It really depends on the person. A lot of people, there are some people that tweet it saying, go away. But others where the candidate himself or herself calls directly to the person affected and saying, I've changed my mind, just kidding, or they have their campaign manager call, in this instance, Congressman Pence's chief of staff, and tell him, cool it.
So there's two schools of thought on this, right? And it's so much palace intrigue, and people say, well, this is insider baseball. No, I don't think it is, because
number one, it's not. It may be insider baseball, but there's going to be, as I said on the podcast, 27 candidates for governor. And so inside baseball, with not many people voting in next year's primary, the insiders are going to be voting. So it's very important inside baseball.
Well, right. And so it's two very big names in the state of Indiana. You've got the sitting lieutenant governor. You've got the Pence family dynasty, which is donezo, basically. We'll get to that here in a moment. But you've got... Look, Micah Beckwith we said this yesterday with Micah on the show, and obviously I'm a big Micah fan and supporter. Everybody already knows that. But whether you like the guy or you don't, Micah Beckwith was the big winner in all of this, because he stated when he announced he was running for lieutenant governor, I'm running to stop the cabal. I'm running to stop the backdoor deals. I'm running to stop the rubber stamp that is the lieutenant governor's position. And he not only was proven correct, but he basically won because Suzanne Crouch told Greg Pence to kick rocks.
Well, the bedrock of the Republican Party, like it or not, for people listening here, is conservative. It's a hard right party now, and And thus the convention delegates are going to be very conservative. Micah Beckwith is very conservative. There are many people that Diego Morales brought into the party running for Secretary of State that have stayed in the party. There are going to be convention delegates next time. And so Diego brought these people in. These are possibly Micah voters in the convention. And so, yes, Micah's had a good day.
Let's talk about, by the way, Jim Merritt's our guest. We're talking about, and it pains me that old Fredo Pence and Silent Suzanne had such a bad week. And Jim, I just hate to talk about that.
They're wanting to move on.
Well, we're not going to let them move on.
And the question is will Congressman Pence announce for re-election now?
Here is my question to you, because look, I think our show played a big role in this. There's no coincidence that within hours of us talking about this on our program and pointing this out to people what was taking place, she being Silent Suzanne, sprints over to Brian Howie to tell Greg, kick rocks, run on your own. But why would she do that so quick? Clearly, this had been going on for months. It hadn't been denied. Robert Vane seemingly confirms it in that interview he did with the Republic, where he says, yeah, she's under consideration. Or were there that many people who heard our segment and then just gave her the business? That's the only logical conclusion, because this has been going on for months.
Well, I think there are a lot of talented people in the Republican Party that could be Lieutenant Governor, number one. But two, the Republic newspaper in Columbus added to this, and you saw this prairie fire start to grow into a bonfire.
But there was a time, even 5 years ago. Now, I knew what the Pences were, but there was a time 5 years ago where you just said, well, of course I'm considering Greg Pence. Of course, I would love to have Greg Pence. The Pences are wonderful people. This family's name must be an absolute toxin now for her to run out of this fast.
I don't know the inside of that. I do know this, that when people are talking about who your lieutenant governor is, you're putting the cart before the horse. You haven't won the primary yet. And so I'm sure Lieutenant Governor and her campaign was getting asked this question in different meetings, different conventions, and everywhere she goes, and she wanted to stamp it out so she could talk about Suzanne Crouch.
Yeah, well, and real quick, because I want to give you time to promote what you're doing now. It's one of two things. Either it's a total lack of institutional control on her part, because you've got Robert Vane. We love Robert. We've known Robert for a long time. He's been on the show. He's a great guy. I find it almost impossible to believe Robert Vane was just freewheeling. Hey, oh yeah, of course he's under consideration.
No.
So I refuse to believe it's a lack of institutional control. Now it's on her then. You could say Greg Pence was putting this out there, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's been going on for months, and she didn't stamp it out. The judgment, then it rests with you, right? It's Harry Truman. The buck stops here, and you made a terrible choice and did this to yourself.
When you're running for office, if it's president, city council, or whatever, and you get an enormous contribution, such as $35,000, and you accept that, there might be strings, there might not be strings, but you've got to expect that person, that entity that's giving you $35,000 is going to want some sort of input, some sort of part of the game, if you will, of your campaign. And it's just something that when that campaign contribution came in, they must have thought long and hard and then accepted it. And so this has been baked in the cake for a long time.
I love all of this because it's everything we talk about on this show all the time, about how rigged the system is, about the backdoor deals, about how the establishment puts their thumb on the process, on the scale to get what they want. It's what Micah said when he announced, and it all happened right in front of everyone. I mean, you don't need to take our word for it. You have now seen it happen. One thing else.
We need a disruptor running for governor.
Well, you do, and I don't know if Curtis is going to be that guy. If it's not Curtis, then it doesn't exist.
Right.
One thing, though, everybody should pay attention to as well, in addition to our show and what's happening in their government, is what you're doing. What are you doing?
Mayor of the Morning, we're having John Ketzenberger. Most people know that he was a reporter for a long time in central Indiana, but he's also with the Conservancy Trust. Mayor of the Morning is every other Thursday, and we broadcast in the Fort, Cafe Audrey. It's on Thursday morning, and at 9 a.m. we stream live.
Yeah, Facebook, YouTube, you can find it there. Kloppenstein is your guest host. Is that right? Yes, absolutely. All right. The great Jim Merritt, you're a national treasure. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
93 WIBC, it's Kendall and Casey Show. Guys, I've got a question for you, and take your time when you answer. What's 12 times 3? It's 36. And if you said that, you are so good. How would you like to get a 36% bonus when you invest your money? So if you invest $100,000, you get a $36,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $72,000 bonus. Hey, it is Rob from the Kendall and Casey Show. You know this because you're listening right now. Not only can you get a 36% bonus, but you can also get a competitive return, an average of 7% a year for the past 10 years. Plus, your money is backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. To learn more, call Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy at 317-932-9912. This 36% bonus, it's not going to last long. So call 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Welcome to Tire Discounters.
Thanks. I heard it could save $200.
Yes, sir. Up to $200 on any set of Cooper tires.
Like it.
And when you buy any set of 4 tires, you get a free alignment.
Sounds great.
And we sand corrosion off all the mating surfaces. And we double hand torque the lug nuts. And we wash your wheels.
Whoa, so when you guys say C-Store for details,
they're all good things.
Save up to $200 off any set of 4 Cooper tires. C-Store for details.
The demands from Indianapolis clergy, that and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
They only have 2 weeks left. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, to prepare for the first Republican presidential debate.
I think the most important thing to do to be ready for the debate stage is to be comfortable in your own skin.
Tim Scott's one of the 8 candidates who've met the polling and fundraising criteria for the Milwaukee debate on the Fox News channel. What about the other? The third requirement, to back whoever wins the GOP race. The senator tells Fox.
Well, absolutely. I will be the nominee, and I certainly will support myself. But no matter who the nominee is, I've already committed to supporting our nominee without any question.
But so far, Vivek Ramaswamy is the only candidate who's formally signed that pledge. The second GOP debate's just been announced. It'll be September 27th at the Reagan Library in California on Fox Business. But will former President Trump show up? He has suggested skipping debating his rivals far back in the polls. A judge has set a Friday hearing to consider what Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports as a big issue in the Trump election interference case.
Special counsel Jack Smith wants former President Trump to be limited in how much he can discuss his case publicly as he campaigns to be the Republican nominee for president. But the Republican frontrunner telling a crowd in New Hampshire that's not going to happen.
I'll be the only politician in American history not allowed to speak because of our corrupt system.
House Republicans say they have new bank records showing President Biden's son Hunter and the family got $20 million in overseas business dealings.
The committee says Russian, Ukrainian, and Kazakh oligarchs funneled money to companies tied to Hunter Biden. A Russian billionaire sent $3.5 million to a shell company associated with Hunter Biden business partner Devon Archer. Then Vice President Biden dined with the billionaire in Washington.
That's Fox's Chad Pergham. The White House insists there's no evidence of wrongdoing, claiming the president wasn't in business with his son. Wildfires keep charring parts of Hawaii, especially Maui. Flames and smoke all around Lahaina doing damage, prompting evacuations. The Coast Guard rescued some people forced to flee into the ocean. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Their demands. It's partly cloudy and 71 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Clergy in Indianapolis want IMPD Chief Randall Taylor to resign. They're holding a press conference this hour demanding his resignation. The group says that Taylor's leadership in solving homicides and non-fatal shootings has been woeful. Cops in Indiana can now threaten you with jail time if you do not back up at least 25 feet from a crime scene if they tell you to do so. They also don't have to give you a reason, which Ken Falk with the ACLU takes issue with.
Law enforcement has a difficult job, and in no way do we want to make it more difficult. But if you're going to have a law that requires people to be pushed back, there has to be a reason.
He tells Wish TV without a legit reason, telling someone to back up can violate freedom of the press rights. A kid had a gun on a school bus this morning in Whiteland. Police say that the bus driver found out and took the gun away from the student, then called the cops. That student is now detained, say police. At least 3 tornadoes hit southern Indiana early Monday morning. One went right through Paoli, damaging the Orange County Courthouse. You already know about plans to revitalize some rest areas on Indiana's interstates. It's part of INDOT's 10-year plan.
And that's supposed to give semi-truck drivers more room to park and operate. I'm Sean Herrick.
I thought it was good, but I want to see the end result.
Matt Vermillion is a retired Hoosier truck driver who's reviewed the plan. He says he's skeptical, though, because he's seen way too many important rest areas closed down. Sean Herrick, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
A shooting in South Bend Tuesday afternoon.
We have a baby that's been shot.
Load and go and transport the baby directly to Memorial.
Scanner traffic of police responding to the shooting. Police haven't said yet what led to it or how old the child is. He's still Purdue Pete, but Purdue University has released a new Purdue Pete logo. They've shared it on social media. Purdue Pete was first thought of back in the 1940s as a logo for an ad campaign for the Purdue University bookstore. I'm Kirk Darling. On the Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Do you get sinus infections, congestion, sinus pressure and pain, above your eyes, below your eyes, sinus headaches? You've gone to the doctor, you've visited urgent care over and over again, and it's always the same thing. Oh, I know. Let's try antibiotics and nasal sprays. But the sinus infections keep coming back. The good news? Relief is possible. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of Indianapolis Sinus Center called balloon sinuplasty. Imagine the relief of not having to deal with your sinus infections anymore. Set an appointment today with Indianapolis Sinus Center and find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Call 317-528-9650. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650.
Lowe's knows how to save pros time and money. Right now, get 10% off all kitchen cabinet orders of $1,000 or more. Plus, MVP's Pro Rewards members earn double the bonus points on select stock cabinets through August 4th. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Must ask cashier to apply discount barcode at time of purchase. Discount on cabinet purchase only. Coupon cannot be used with any other discount. Valid 7/27 through 8/9. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any.
The always ready for breakfast deal.
Going to bed already? Yep. Breakfast at Mickey D's tomorrow. So, sooner I go to bed, sooner it'll be morning. Sooner I'll be at Mickey D's.
This is actually brilliant.
You can come too. Turn out that light.
There's a deal for every breakfast strategist at McDonald's.
Right now, try our 2 for $5 breakfast with tasty options like a sausage McMuffin with egg. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
It is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher, Saturday night on Circle in for Casey. We start the hour with more Donald Trump because, well, that's exactly what you people want. And Trump was in New Hampshire yesterday, having one of his usual big, very well-attended rallies.
They are well-attended.
Ethan, you ever been to a Trump rally?
No.
Well, you've got to go. Like, there are certain things you have to do in life who years from now you will say, my goodness, I am so glad I did that. For me, it was going to the Rolling Stones concert on July the 4th, 2015 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was expensive. It was time-consuming. It was really hot and crowded, but wow, I'm glad I did it. For you and anybody hearing my voice, even if you aren't a Trump fan, you absolutely must go to a Trump rally for the atmosphere alone.
Yeah, I had a friend who was an autograph hunter who went to a Trump rally, and he shoved his book enough to get a somewhat scrawled, illegible Donald Trump signature.
Oh yeah, so now and I would be curious to see if they still do that. It used to be at the end of the Trump rally, he would skedoodle down off the stage and then would go into the pit area. There's usually a pit area between him and the people, and he would sign stuff. Now I don't know since he's become president or whatever if he still does that.
They might not let him.
Yeah, that was my point from a public safety perspective.
But could they stop him? Donald Trump does what he wants.
Well, yeah, you're right. But he may be so big, so busy now, whatever, who knows. But anyway, yes, everyone should absolutely go, whether you like the guy, loathe the guy, or any point in between. It is an experience to see the people there, the atmosphere there. And so he had another big one of those yesterday in New Hampshire, and he was talking a lot about his lead. And look, one of the things I love about Trump is when he wants to be, he is funny, he is charming, he is charismatic, and he said here, his lead's so big, he's just one indictment away from winning.
How incompetent these people are. It's horrible. In the recent Rasmussen poll, we're up 44 points with Trump at 57, Ron DeSanctimonious at 13, and the rest of them down in single digits and really low. And in the morning consult that just came out, I wanted to see, because, every time you get indicted, I like to check the polls, because one more indictment that I think this election's over. One more. No, it's horrible. You get indicted for nothing. Can you imagine a guy? Let's indict my opponent. This becomes a third world country. The latest morning consult poll has us far ahead. We're at 59%, and the others are at like 12. One is at 12. I think that's DeSanctimonious, but he's rapidly being caught by Ramaswamy, who's good. No, Christie's, he's eating right now. He can't be bothered.
What a stupid nickname.
Ramaswamy, who's good. I'm really hoping that at some point Ramaswamy passes DeSantis so Trump can turn on him, because I just want to see him say that name over and over and over again.
Ramaswamy?
Yeah, who's good.
So I got a question for you, Rob.
Yes.
Why does Donald Trump think he can win the election? He says he's one indictment away from winning, and I mean, that's possible. He certainly got, by all appearances, the primary nomination in the bag. But why does he think he can win the general?
Well, I think what's he going to do? Come out, Ethan, and go, I have no chance to win, but please vote.
He's running on that premise.
He's running on what premise, Ethan?
That he has no chance to win. He's running on the premise that the elections are rigged, they are stolen, it's all an inside game. The election was taken from me, fake ballots will be printed, ballot harvesting initiatives will be had, so as they already were. So why does he think he can win? Why is it even possible? All the election's just going to be stolen. What's changed in 4 years?
Ethan, every time we have this conversation, you manage to alienate more of our listeners, but we'll do it again because I guess that's the little game you want to play.
Why does he think he could win? He's running on the premise that the elections are rigged.
Ethan, there is a huge swath of this country that believes shenanigans took place. They're not Alex Joneses of the world. A normal person would look at what happened in places like Pennsylvania and say that is a complete pile of crap.
Sure, there were shenanigans that took place. I believe a few Trump voters have been convicted of federal election
If you're going to do
crimes.
this, you need to let me finish because you keep interrupting. There's a huge portion of this country, and this is what everybody inside this establishment is missing right now, that there are tens of millions of people. They are normal people. There are people who go to work every day. There are people who pay their taxes every day. There are people who very easily exist in society and respected members of society who believe, as a common sense person would, that if single solitary elected officials, it happened here in Indiana too, if you remember, where Holcomb and Connie Lawson just waltzed out and said, hey, election day has been changed. if you just say even worse, not only changing election day like they did here, well, now we're just going to throw ballots at people and hope they come to the right people. The post office at this point, Ethan, is so hard up for people. They are there is photographic evidence now. I got a photo from somebody the other day. They're contracting with third-party people who aren't even wearing post office uniforms at this point. You have no idea in some cases who is actually dropping stuff off or taking stuff from your house. You're going to tell me that you think a mass mailing of ballots to who knows who isn't set up in a state where 15 to 20,000 votes make all the difference? The average person looks at that and says, that is complete crap. Now, you have two options with this. You can either accept and say, well, that's it, we're done as a country, or you can stand and fight. Does Trump spend too much time on 2020? Yes, Ethan, he does. However, that's his prerogative. It is his prerogative to be unproductive. But don't act like there's not a huge portion of this country, and most of it is rooted in common sense, logical thought that if individuals such as a governor or a secretary of state, and it happens in these swing states where 10 to 15,000 votes make all the difference, well, voila, the votes flip in the middle of the night. That doesn't make you some fringe lunatic outside the mainstream of society.
So are you saying that this was a one-time only COVID-19 thing? It's kind of like a get-out-of-jail-free card. That's the rig the election card, and once we've played it, it goes back into the community chest to be drawn again at a later date?
No, I think what Trump is saying is that in places like Pennsylvania, where now they have just instituted that as the way they're doing business, we've got to stand and fight.
But it was because of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? That they made these last-minute election law changes, which manifested as rigging the election. That's the premise we're going on.
Right. If you go back and you listen to what one of the major things about the certification of the election was, the Senate in Pennsylvania, which is controlled by Republicans, were literally waving their arms, going, "We control this state and we are objecting to this." The lawmakers, now, unlike here in Indiana, where the Republican supermajorities just rolled over and played dead for Eric the Red because they don't have any cojones to ever stand up to this guy. In Pennsylvania, where the Democrat governor and secretary of state just changed the rules in the middle of the game. That's why it's so ludicrous that people you were trying to enact insurrection if you objected to the election. The legislature in Pennsylvania was waving their arms, Ethan, going, hey, wait a second, this isn't right. We have no institutional control over these ballots being counted.
What about the Trump lawsuits? What came of those in a court of law?
Ethan,
the multiple states that he filed in.
You're right. And you can either believe that someone like Sam Alito, who said there's major issues with the election, is a complete crackpot. I don't think people think that. He's one of the most brilliant legal minds in the country.
What about Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch?
His colleagues did not agree with him. That's fine, Ethan. But the Supreme Court does stuff. Supreme Court.
Who appointed them again?
Ethan, I'm going to tell you one more time. Let me finish. You're going to bring this up. You're going to say this stuff, which pisses off a huge portion of our audience. I'm going to push back because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. The Supreme Court gets stuff wrong all the time. Obamacare, John Roberts said literally, well, it's a tax when the government said it's not a tax. The Supreme Court gets things right, they get things wrong. This is America. You are allowed to object to the election. You are allowed to say the election was wrong. You're allowed to say the election was stolen. Do I think it's right that he spends that much time on it? No. However, it does not make him a criminal. It does not make him a tyrant. It does not make him anything other than an American who has a right to object to the election. And there is millions and millions of people who agree with him. And I'm so sick of him and everybody else being treated like some sort of crackpot lunatic for pointing out the obvious.
Well, I've never said he was a criminal for claiming those things.
You're sitting here right now, Ethan, and you do this every time.
I didn't say he was criminal.
Ethan, you do this every time you're on this show. You act like he and the people who believe this, which is a big portion of this country, 75 million people voted for the guy, and a whole bunch of those people, poll after poll after poll, say that they agree with the obvious, which is when you just arbitrarily change the rules and throw ballots at people and you have no idea who gets them, who fills them out, who brings them back, that is ripe for fraud. You are being totally dismissive of millions of people. And that's your right to do that as a broadcaster. That's your right to do that as a citizen. But I am done with this on this show. I'm done with you doing this and treating people like they're crackpots. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to get more into Trump's rally. We're going to talk about Matt Ryan, the former quarterback of the Colts. He's very upset about his time here in Indianapolis. Voicemails and more. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I alphabetized my soundboard. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. F? Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
I have to go to S for Sopranos. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you got it.
It's so clean now. It's fantastic. Yeah, we have clearly run out of things to talk about. There's nothing else going on in the world.
It's a great world, everything's so.
This show is stupid.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first. And then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
At SimpliSafe, we've designed award-winning home security with advanced sensors, HD cameras, and now this, 24/7 lifeguard protection, only from SimpliSafe. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Anymore, you're just another voice on the radio.
It is the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC. I'm Rob. Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey today. Kev's here. Took a little detour last segment, but I'm going to get to the rest of these clips today because, gosh darn it, Trump is really entertaining and you people want to hear from him. So he was in New Hampshire yesterday, big rally. And look, it'll bear it out in the election. We'll see what happens. But he claims, and I don't know if he's wrong, and we'll play this clip either, and then I will get your opinion on this. He says he has more support in 2024 than he did in 2016 and 2020.
It's so sad. I mean, these people are just horrible. They're horrible. You know, I told somebody on the way up today, I told Brian, I told a few of the guys, so we did great in 2016. We actually did much better. As you know, we got millions more votes in 2020. The election was rigged. But there is more enthusiasm today than we ever had in 2016 and 2020. And the reason is because these people are so corrupt and they're so horrible. They're so incompetent.
I don't think he's wrong. I think there's a lot of people who hate Donald Trump more than they hated him in 2016. And I think there's a lot of people who hate Donald Trump a lot more than they hated him in 2020. But I think there's a lot of people who every single day wake up and see what's happening to this country at all levels and say, you know what, I'm sick of this crap.
Yeah.
And this is the guy, whether he's a goof or he's crazy or he acts crazy or says things that we look at and go, oh, man, I just wish he didn't say that. That's not helping anything. I think there's more people that by the day wake up and say, you know what? He may not be the best messenger, but he's the messenger, and we're going with him.
Sure. To the extent that people were disgruntled with the results of the 2020 election, I think the added indictments, the 70 felony charges against him are gasoline on the fire. They've had an inverse effect, which leads me and has led me in the past to believe Democrats want him to be the Republican nominee. This is the long game because they believe he can be defeated in the general election. Whether that comes to bear out remains to be seen, and he could well gain the added support because of how the Department of Justice has been manipulated to target Trump unfairly compared to others.
I want to play one other clip, and then I want to talk about what this Trump thing is about, because one of the reasons I've done a lot of thinking the past couple days, and we've talked about coming back to Trump and saying, hey, we're going to vote for Trump because he's the most entertaining, but there's more to it than that. I want to play this one clip before we do that, though. And the big question is whether Trump will participate in the debate, and ever the showman, he leaves it up to the crowd.
They're all saying, is he going to go into the debate? And I say, I don't know. If you're leading by 50 and 60 and 70 points, do you do that or not? I don't know. Should I? Okay, you ready? Poll. We take a free poll. Should I do the debate? Well, maybe we'll do something else. See, some people say yes, but they hate to say it because it doesn't make sense to do it if you're leading by so much, but they like it for entertainment value because they're selfish. They're selfish.
All right. Let's say a couple things first. That Donald Trump is not, in terms of the physical person Donald Trump and the way he carries himself and the way he presents himself in his campaign, is probably not the best person in a 50-state election with an electoral college where certain states matter based on those electoral votes and the closeness of the states to be the face of a movement. And I think we would be disingenuous after all the things we've said on this show to say, oh, yes, Donald Trump is absolutely the best person to carry the banner. He is deeply offensive to some people. He is oftentimes needlessly deeply offensive to some people. He regularly will say and do things that inflict wounds and damage to himself that don't benefit. There is no upside and only downside, and he chooses to embark on ventures that do not produce an upside and only a downside. We would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that before about what I'm about to say. But the reason I think Trump is the best person at this point, and we joke a lot about, oh, he's going to be the most entertaining and he's going to be a this and he's going to be a that. That's part of it. However, the Republican Party in this country has proven itself, and this is so much, I think, of what goes in and why Trump existed to begin with. The Republican Party in this country, at a state level, at a federal level, at a local level, has proven itself time and time again to be completely untrustworthy and has repeatedly broken its bond with the American people. Whatever you want to say about Trump, the one guy who has never broken his bond with the people who were voters with him from the beginning was Donald Trump. Has he done everything right? No, absolutely not. We've been uber critical of the COVID. We've been very critical of the printing of the money, of the stuff with Fauci. It's all there. Those are all things warranted to look at and say, you messed up on that. But the Donald Trump voter and the Donald Trump movement is about a group of people who see this country being taken away from them at every single turn. Good, decent, law-abiding people. People who love this country, people who have served this country, people who have given their lives to being productive in this country. And they see it every single turn, not only the Democrats trying to take it away from them and being very successful and changing what it means to be American and what American exceptionalism and American idealism is all about, but they see the Republican Party and the leaders in it doing absolutely nothing to stop them. Donald Trump, whether he means it, whether he's genuine, whether he's whatever or not, is at least the last guy out there actually saying it and the last guy out there that seemingly has some fight. Ron DeSantis has no fight. He's been pathetic. I thought he'd be much better. I hate to
admit it, you're right.
He'd be much better. I thought he'd be much different. I did too, but he's not. And after 2 months of doing this, unless he's going to take some sort of can of spinach from the Popeye cartoons, he doesn't have it. Tim Scott doesn't have it. So if the only guy left out there who's actually saying the things and is actually delivering the message, then we got to go with that, because very soon we're not going to have a country left. Certainly not one that's recognizable to what many people grew up in and many people loved and many people revered.
I agree with you, Rob, and I know we got to cut to another news update here shortly, but I guess the question that I want to ask you, and you got a little bit mad at me in the last segment, and that's okay because we have fun here, but what makes you think that Donald Trump will do things differently if he's reelected? Has he, or does he have the capacity to, quote, learn his lesson. Because the last time, and there was one prominent bond he broke that I can think of, being the lock her up premise that was a key component to the 2016 campaign and failed to hold Hillary Clinton to account. But that's neither here nor there ultimately. What makes you think that he will change things? Because he certainly was a profligate spender at an even higher rate, I think, for a one-term president compared to Barack Obama at the same point, and he was terrible. So what makes you think that Trump is going to learn his lessons here with the swamp creatures and the spending and the things that weren't great about his administration from a conservative viewpoint? And I know the listeners think I'm a secret liberal Democrat here, but no, I do believe in conservative government.
Okay, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll answer that. We've got your voicemails. That's a fair question. We'll talk about it when we come back. It's Kendall and Casey Show. Ethan's in for Casey, 93 WIBC.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-646-7049 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-646-7049. That's 800-646-7049. What do you have to lose? Call 800-646-7049. Again, 800-646-7049.
Got chronic joint pain but want to avoid steroids and surgery? Take some advice from pro football legend Emmitt Smith. Call QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life with biologic therapies that get your body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
These exciting new regenerative treatments from local medical professionals can help your body heal itself with lasting pain relief.
Trust me, you want to avoid surgery if you can. Check out these biologic treatments to see what your options are.
QC Kinetics, restorative, regenerative solutions with no downtime, no surgery, no drugs.
I'm talking about joint pain we all can relate to in your knees, your shoulders, your hips, and your lower back. They'll get you feeling good again.
Get relief now.
What are you waiting on? Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
4 races, 3 days.
The stars of NASCAR and IndyCar return for Brickyard Weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Friday, August 11th, the next generation of Indy Next by Firestone takes to the road course.
Saturday features the NTT IndyCar Series Gallagher Grand Prix, followed by the NASCAR Xfinity Series Pennzoil 150 presented by Advance Auto Parts.
Then Sunday the 13th, the NASCAR Cup Series takes on the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard.
Power, speed, precision.
And family friendly. Kids under 15 get in free.
Tickets at IMS.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The debate may be coming together. It's mostly cloudy and 71 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Who else will be on the GOP primary debate stage and who may not be?
One more big name will be on the debate stage in Milwaukee. Former Vice President Mike Pence. Pence had repeatedly told reporters he was confident he was going to be making the first debate. We don't know if Pence's old boss, former President Trump, will show up, though. And if so, the two men would be debating each other on the same stage. It would be quite a historic moment in politics. Now, the stage is already getting crowded with 8 candidates officially qualifying for this debate.
Fox's Mark Meredith. A newly released memo shows, it appears to show anyway, how Donald Trump and his allies sought to overturn the results of the 2020 election using fake slates of electors. The New York Times obtained a copy of the internal memo drafted on December 6, 2020 by lawyer Kenneth Cheeseborough. It lays out the plan to create alternate electors to vote for Trump in multiple states won by Joe Biden that could then be counted by former Vice President Mike Pence. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
I'm a grandson, a son. I'm an employee and a mentor. I'm a father to 2 beautiful kids and a husband to an amazing wife. And I have a substance use disorder. In other words, I'm living in recovery with an addiction. And now that you know, will you let it change how you see me? It's okay to see my addiction, but I want you to know it's people choosing to see me as a person that changed my life.
See the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get ready for incredible speed and high-octane fun. The Indy Airstrip Attack returns to Marion, Indiana Airport August 11th and 13th. This fast-paced racing event showcases some of the most powerful cars in the world. Presented by Revolution and Shift Sector. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatments at 317-559-PAIN.
I'm so sorry you have just
317-684-8444. That's the phone number, 317-684-8444. If you'd like to be a part of the show, we take a big risk every day, and we turn the show over to you. We'll get to that the voicemails in just a moment. But first, Ethan, before we went to a break, you had asked a question. I think it's a relevant question. What was the question again?
If elected, what makes you think that Trump will have, quote, learned his lesson and behave differently than he did during his first term when it comes to fulfilling promises like, lock her up or the maintaining a conservative spending profile, things of that nature?
Okay, so to answer that, and there is all sorts of documentation of me saying this in the moment, saying it during Trump was president. The great thing about being me is there's a gajillion examples of me, whatever I tell you on this radio show, and it's easily provable. I did not vote or support Donald Trump because I believed he would be a great president. And I said that at the time, and I said that while he was president, and I've said that after he was president. I voted for Donald Trump because I believed Donald Trump would pull the mask back on what our country is and who it's run by and what it has become. And by that success, by that standard, Donald Trump was an immense success. People, this country and system of governance and the people that are governing us cannot be fixed until we are fully aware and acknowledge who is running our country. Who was the other choices? There was nobody up there that I thought was going to be, oh my gosh, this is going to be the most reliably great conservative other than Rand Paul.
Yeah, I was about to say Rand Paul. Paul was my guy.
Well, look, I love Rand Paul, but he had as much chance to be president as you and I did, and very clearly he was out very early.
What's wrong with the eye surgeon?
Well, look, so the point of that is that this country from top to bottom, and COVID was the one that I think finally opened people's eyes to what exactly it is and who exactly is making the choices. It is the entire system of governance, the entire layers of governance, the entire people in governance. I'm talking about the decision makers. I'm not talking about rank and file, hardworking people. There are many fine people who go to work for the government each day who want to do well. So if that is still my premise, which it is, I think everybody has seen the government is not getting any better. It is getting markedly worse by the day in terms of size, in terms of scope, in terms of ability to weaponize itself against regular people. Look at what, Ethan, you've got this perplexed look on your face. They have put people on a domestic terrorist list for going to school board meetings.
No, I agree with you. I am desperately struggling to follow along. Help me understand if I have this correct. You are not supporting Trump because you think he would be the best president. Is that correct?
I said I did not support him because I thought he would be a phenomenal president. Okay. I was not like, this is not going to be Abraham Lincoln. This is not going to be George Washington.
So did I have that Did I have that aspect correct?
Yes,
You
I
do
guess.
support him because he is pulling back the mask.
Yes, I believe more people
and
have.
part of that component was COVID-19, right?
I believe more people than ever before are fully aware of who their government is, who's in their government, how they're behaving, how they weaponize the government against regular people at all levels. Yes, that's correct. I believe by that account, Donald Trump was an immense success.
So
Now,
did they become more aware of it after the 2020 election? Because it wasn't just his election that was lost. Democrats retook control of the Senate. So did people learn their lesson after the 2020 elections and now they'll make the correct decision in 2024?
Well, again, Ethan, in the states that were lost, there is a repeating trend in these swing states. There were unaccountable changes made to balloting, arbitrary decisions either by Secretary of States or by governors, much of it centered around mass mail-in unaccountable balloting. And in those states, predominantly, it was somewhere between 10 and 15,000 votes, many of which votes changed in the middle of the night. So here's a great example. My good friend Ben Stein. We all know Ben Stein. We love Ben Stein. Okay. Used to appear on Ben Stein's podcast on a weekly basis. Really great guy. Ben Stein is one of the brightest people, I'm talking IQ-wise, in the entire country. And Ben Stein is never going to be accused of being a radical right-wing Republican. He is about as establishment as you could possibly get. Ben Stein said statistically, to happen what happened in this country on election night, in the middle of the night, statistically is impossible.
Okay.
It is statistically impossible for it all to happen in these states, all at the same time, all who had these things in common. So you can either accept that people like Ben Stein, who are some of the brightest mathematicians brightest minds in the entire country, who again are as establishment as you come. He loves the Bushes. He loves Lindsey Graham. He loves all these people that Trump hates, saying statistically that is the most bizarre thing that may have ever happened in human history. And you go, well, yeah, that's totally on the up and up. Or you can look at this and go, wow, something really wild happened on election night. Something really crazy happened on election night. And since COVID, when Americans rolled over and played dead because they were lied to by their government and the abuse of power by their government, I think you have seen many people wake the heck up and say, you know what, people like us, people like me, you were right.
And
you were right.
And you think that Trump is the best selection to combat this, despite the fact you do not believe he would make a phenomenal president.
There's nothing the Republican Party has to offer me that I look at and say they will fix it. I've been doing this now
I agree there.
For 20, what am I? How long have I been voting? I've been voting for 21 years, Ethan. And every single election, it's the exact same thing from the Republican Party. Elect us, we'll fix it. Elect us, we'll get spending under control. Elect us, we'll make government reforms. They got the House of Representatives. What's the first thing they did? They signed off on raising the debt ceiling. And in fact, they said, we don't even want to deal with this for 2 years. So they gave Biden 2 years to do whatever he wants. If it doesn't matter, I might as well go with the person that I have a puncher's chance with, who at least will fight. He will at least show society what these people are. He's not going to be any better or any worse because the Republicans and Democrats are two sides of the same coin. Kevin, we're going to do this out of order, but this is very important. So where do I have this at? I bust this out every so often because it's arguably the best interview on politics I've ever seen. It's down at 11:20. It's one of the best interviews on politics I've ever seen. And it is with Jesse Ventura years ago. It was in 2015. So it was after he'd been governor, but he was thinking about running for president at the time. And he sat down with a guy named Graham Benzinger. And this is just a coincidence. We had this on the template, but I'm so glad we did. Jesse Ventura explains what I'm saying right here better than any person I ever have. Go.
You notice I include them as them. I don't distinguish between the two parties because there is no difference.
After you were
elected, they're both owned by the same corporate ownership. It does. In other words, if you go to sports, if you bet on both teams in the Super Bowl, you're not going to lose, are you? Well, if you own both candidates, you're not going to lose, are you?
Well, and that's why you've said you wish politicians would have to wear NASCAR-type suits with the logos.
Yeah, I wish they'd require anyone running for president to wear a NASCAR suit with patches dictating who owns them. I mean, it's simple. When you see Jimmy Johnson, what do you see? Lowe's.
Right.
Then he's got all his other smaller patches around it. Well, if Jesse Ventura runs for president, there won't be a patch on the suit. It'll be clear white. I imagine some of my opponents wouldn't have enough suit to put the patches on. They may have to have a subordinate wear one too, so they could get all the patches on.
How much do you fault the candidates for that, and how much do you fault just the system today?
I fault the Democrats and Republicans and the system they've created. You notice I don't even discuss the candidates. Didn't do that when I went for governor either. I run against the parties because the candidates are nothing but puppets to the party. The party's got the strings. They're the puppets.
He's right. It doesn't matter who gets in there. Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott, if it had been Rand Paul, it doesn't matter. There's too much money. They changed the game. We just saw it happen in this state. We just saw it happen right in front of us, in which the money people went to Suzanne Crouch and said, "You're picking Greg Pence." Why? Because Suzanne Crouch is a reliable stooge. We all know she sat silently for 7 years through all of Holcomb's bullcrap. And we all know what the Pence family is. We all know what Greg Pence is. We all know Greg Pence has no problem screwing over the taxpayers for millions of dollars. Hello, Keel Brothers Oil Company. And the money people went to Suzanne Crouch and said, "You are picking Greg Pence." And like a good subservient person that Suzanne Crouch is, she said, "Okay." You know why that stopped? Because of the cavalcade of negative publicity brought on by this radio show. For months, she had lined up, as Jim Merritt laid out for us. Hell, people were already beginning to run for Greg Pence's seat. That's how well known it was in Republican circles. Because it was going to be the dream team, the donor lobbyist class dream team of Suzanne Crouch and Greg Pence. And this is why they hate us, Ethan. This is why the establishment hates me more than I could ever express. Because they had been plotting that for months. And within hours, she sprinted to Brian Howie and said, "Greg Pence has been thrown off the bus. I hope I don't hurt anyone as I back it up over him." That's why they hate us, because we exposed their bullcrap. And this is going on all over. It doesn't matter who the president is. It doesn't matter anymore. It's two sides of the same coin. So at least I'm going to go with the guy that's going to expose as much of it as possible and burn as much of them to the ground in the process.
I guess I yearn for simpler times when we had a sterner, more sensible, reasoned, measured representation. I'm tired of the sideshow, man. Although I suppose it's entertaining, that's not the kind of entertainment I seek from my politics.
This is supposed to be the voicemail segment, so I do want to at least play. No, it's totally my fault, Ethan. You're an innocent victim in all this. Here is somebody called about Mike Pence, so let's play a voicemail.
Yeah, this might make you happy, Rob. Mark Levin, who I'm a big fan of. And anyway, I just saw a video of him on Fox News going over the indictment and the felony charges for Trump. And he is really, really ticked off when he's talking. And he brings up Mike Pence. He goes, "Mike Pence has turned out to be the little weasel." Quite a weasel, I think he said. But I say that all the time because I'm disappointed in Pence. You know, when he was a senator in Washington, D.C., I thought he wasn't so bad. But then when he became our governor, he didn't do some things that he knew that he should do. And I heard from the news that he was up for a very hard re-election. Then Trump picked him as vice president, and then that's how we got the piece of crap Holcomb, who nobody even knew who he was. And look what he's done to our state.
Hard to argue with any of that. Hard to argue with any of that. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Ethan, I'm going to ask you a very important question. Are you ready?
Yes.
What the hell is a pansexual? Because somebody very famous has come out and said that's what they are. It's Kendall Casey Show. Ethan's in for Casey, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel Show, Congressman Jim Banks and the biggest stories of the day. All the fun starts at 3 o'clock, 93 WIBC. Mark Dietl is the only real estate agent I'd trust to sell my house, and apparently other people feel the same way, like Rich and Cindy in Greenwood. They said it was time to move into a place that could give them a little daily help, so they hired Mark Dietl, and they closed on their old house in a week with a cash offer. The whole process was easy and professional, and they came away with the money they needed for the next phase in life.
You got a lot of options in the real estate game, but Mark Dietl is the only real estate expert we trust and recommend with the sale of our homes here at the Hammer and Nigel Show. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date, no long-term contracts, and you can cancel anytime. MarkDietl.com. That's DIETEL, MarkDietl.com, or call 755-4232. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros, and a sincere thank you to our loyal customers for helping make us national sales leaders for the 7th year in a row. We continue to save our new clients 30 to 40% when compared to their current ACA, short-term COBRA, or small group programs. Breaking news. On July the 7th, President Biden signed an executive order outlawing short-term health plans. If you're on a short-term plan or just unhappy with your present coverage, call Terry or Ron at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-563-0868 or rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. Our coverages are guaranteed to age 65 with zero deductible and zero copay options, all on the largest network in the country. Give us a call. What the heck you got to lose? As always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Hey, it's Casey. Have you noticed the concrete around your house? I'm talking about maybe in the garage, the pool deck, the driveway, even the porch or patio, looking a little gray and dull. Do you know that Galaxy Concrete Coating can make it so much better? They'll lay down this coating 4 times stronger than epoxy, dries really fast, has a strong hold, the color's not going to fade, and it's easy to clean. Oh, and by the way, it looks great too. Call them in Fishers, 317-751-9070. Get yourself a free quote. By the way, Galaxy Concrete Coating, not as expensive as you might think. They're online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com. They're taking concrete out of this world.
Indy, stop spoiling your summers painting year after year. Do what your neighbor Mark did. He called Rhino Shield.
It's a 2-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
Rhino Shield ceramic coating is specifically formulated for our climate.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
Indy, this just in. Take advantage of Rhino Shield's summer savings. Get $1,000 off plus 0% interest for 18 months.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, it's Hammer and Nigel, and there are numbers every man needs to know, including our testosterone number. We recommend the Low T Center. They make it quick and easy to get all your levels checked, and it's only $25. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll know the result in about 25 minutes.
Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause a lack of motivation and drive. It can raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and a loss of muscle mass. LowTCenter.com. Book that appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want to explore using Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits to heat and cool your home or business?
Learn more at absolutecomfort.org. That's absolutecomfort.org.
Listen to Tony Katz from 6 to 9 this week and call in for your chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to the Indiana State Fair. Make a fast break to the fair as we celebrate the state that grew the game of basketball. Presented by Pacer Sports and Entertainment.
You can run, you can hide, never let it inside. Keep living your life in the dark.
It's the Kendall Casey Show. 93 WIBC. I'm Rob Kendall. Ethan's in for Casey today. You can hear Ethan Saturday night, 7 to 9. Saturday night on The Circle here on 93 WIBC. All right, Ethan, Kev, you can weigh in on this too, because you are the youngest of the three amigos here. What the hell is a pansexual?
Oh, easy. It means he likes to have sex with pans. Cast iron, non-stick, copper, like for inductive heating.
I'm not sure that's what it is, although it may be not as stupid as what I've heard
of people who are sexually attracted to bridges and fences and trees, so pans are perfectly within the ballpark there.
Kev, let's pretend that Ethan may be outside the ballpark of what this hokey definition is. What is it? Like, what do the kids do the kids talk about this? Do you have any idea?
I don't know anyone like this. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay, well, the reason I ask is Wayne Brady. And look, Wayne Brady was phenomenal on Whose Line Is It Anyway? He was on that show for years. He was incredibly funny. What is the show that he hosts? Now, he hosts Let's Make a Deal. That's his new, I think he's been there for several years now, but that's his most recent thing of notoriety. And he's been in movies and all sorts of other things. He has come out. He's 51 years old, and he has decided that he is pansexual.
Good for him.
And somehow, now look, we can't get the names of anybody who went to Epstein's, island. We can't get any information on Joe Biden's engagement with the Hunter Biden business practices. I mean, there's a plethora of very relevant information to our society as a collective we can't get. But gosh darn it, Ethan, the media, and it's all over the place. Like if you just put Wayne Brady in your Google search, I mean, there's article on top of article about Wayne Brady coming out as a pansexual.
Look, love for cookware is cause for celebration, Rob.
They did ask. They said, what does this mean? It means he is attracted to persons regardless of their sex or gender, which I thought, and look, I'm sure I'm going to get in big trouble for saying this, but I thought if you were attracted to both sexes, we already had a name for that.
Yeah.
I thought we called that bisexual.
Yeah, because what more is there than men and women? There's not a third.
Yeah.
So you either like both or neither or one or the other.
According to People magazine, he describes it as, quote, bisexual with an open mind. I thought that's what being bisexual was you had an open mind.
I don't understand anymore, Rob. I'm confused.
And again, I'm going to ask the question. How the hell does this get article upon article, and how does somebody just not who's interview him go, do you realize how stupid you sound? Do you realize how stupid all of this sounds? If you want to, look, whatever you want to do in your own time, that's up to you. You want to be with men, you're a man, you want to be with men, fine, whatever. You're a man, you want to be with a woman, fine, whatever. You're a man, you want to alternate between man and woman, fine, whatever. But it's not newsworthy. Yeah. And you're either heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual.
Can you imagine the hubris that is connected with this to believe your ding-a-ling is so important you need to rush to the nearest podium and tell the world with whom you like to spend your nighttime activities?
You're so right. The arrogance and self-absorption of these people.
I need to tell people how I use my ding-a-ling right now.
I don't even know, Ethan. It's like I want to be a very caring and understanding person, and I want to be able to say, look, love who you want to love and be with who you want to be with. But it keeps getting thrown in my face, and it's not even the sexuality at this point that gets thrown in my face. It's bizarre, made up names. Like, you have an interpersonal relationship with who you desire to have that relationship with, and you leave your stuff to whoever you want to leave your stuff to, and you have contracts with whoever you want to have contracts with. But I am not celebrating this, Ethan. I am not throwing a parade for you. I'm not condoning having a month for you. I'm not saying it's great that you are what you are, because I don't care. If you're gay, you're gay. If you're straight, you're straight. If you dabble in both, you dabble in both. That is up to you. But I am so sick and tired of being made to feel like I am some sort of bad person if I don't run down the street letting off fireworks in celebration of the choices that people make.
Right. We're not going to throw you a parade. The parades were in June, and this is August.
All right. It's the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey. When we come back, Joe Rogan has an epic rant on Biden's lying and his corruption. We've got some really disturbing data about Americans dipping into their 401ks to pay the bills. Bad news for DeSantis. Abdul's going to join us and more. Kendall and Casey show on 93 WIBC.
That talks you into staying where you are.
I had changed the locks. Didn't even know where she was living. And then one night she calls to say she's getting treatment. Can I drive? I almost hung up. But then I thought, that's my kid. I chose to put away the hurt and the fear and just see my girl.
Addiction is a disease. Standing by a loved one as they fight it will test your faith, patience, and sanity. But it's possible when you see the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
Hey race fans, this is Tim Wicker from Electric Plus. When you're looking for an electrical contractor to take care of your next construction project, facility upgrade, or simple maintenance work, make sure you call Electric Plus to give you a professional and top quality project with the best team members in the industry. Just like race car drivers desire to be the best, the mission of Electric Plus is to be the best electrical contractor, period. Visit our website at electricplus.com to see how we can take care of your electrical needs.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms: irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This summer of fun is brought to you by Citizens Energy Group, reminding listeners to water their lawn only twice a week. Get more info at citizensenergygroup.com/waterwise. That's citizensenergygroup.com/waterwise.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com. When was the last time you practiced your home fire escape plan? Be sure everyone in your family knows what to do if there's a fire. Get out, stay out. It's your fire safe response.
Coming up in 2 minutes, what happened on a school bus in Johnson County. Plus, it looks like more than one tornado hit Indiana on Monday. And where another baby was surrendered at a baby box in Indiana. I'm Kurt Darling. All that and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Set free. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. An American nurse and her daughter who were kidnapped in Haiti.
The ministry group El Roi Haiti states on their website that Alex Dorsainville and her daughter, who had been working as volunteers with them in Port-au-Prince, have been freed by their kidnappers. The two had been held for ransom since July 27th by armed men who busted into their charity's clinic. Neither the ministry nor the U.S. State Department shared details of the kidnapping or whether ransoms were paid.
Fox's Eben Brown. Another medical issue for Senator Dianne Feinstein. The Democrat suffered a fall at her San Francisco home yesterday and was briefly hospitalized. The 90-year-old's been frail after being away from the Senate for months, suffering from shingles. House Republicans have released more evidence in their Hunter Biden investigation.
$20 million in payments to President Biden's son Hunter and his business associates allegedly came from Russian and Kazakhstani oligarchs.
Ex-Hunter Biden business associate Devin Archer told lawmakers last week then Vice President Biden talked to some clients by phone, even dined with one of the billionaires who paid. But
President Biden has consistently denied being involved with or profiting off of his son's business dealings.
And Fox's Ryan Schmelz. The second Republican presidential debate's been set September 27th at the Reagan Library in California on Fox Business. The first one's in 2 weeks in Milwaukee on the Fox News channel. Former President Trump has suggested he may not go. Tim Scott tells Fox.
The American people deserve to see every single one of us that qualifies for the debate stage on that stage.
Scott says he'll support whoever the GOP nominee is, but so far Vivek Ramaswamy has signed the pledge, the only one it's required to be part of the debate. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has suspended a state prosecutor accusing her of letting criminals go free.
Monique Worrell's administration of criminal justice in the Ninth Circuit has been clearly and fundamentally derelict.
Worrell had vowed to restore equity to the judicial system. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The bus driver acted quickly. It's mostly cloudy and 74 on Monument Circle. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. A gun on a school bus. John Herrick reports on what happened in Johnson County Wednesday morning.
The Clark Pleasant Community School Corporation said a student brought a gun onto a bus that was on its way to Break-A-Day Elementary School in New Whiteland at around 8:45. It was another student who saw that the student had a gun in a backpack, and the bus driver ended up confiscating the gun. The student with the gun was taken into custody, and everybody else who was on the bus is safe and accounted for. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Severe weather back in the cards for this afternoon.
We're expecting rain and storm chances to start to pick up in the afternoon, mainly during the evening and early overnight hours tonight. It's the main time frame we're concerned for the potential for a few strong to severe storms.
Andrew White with the National Weather Service. Surveyors will be out in southern Indiana again today to look at storm damage from Monday's storms, which forecasters say produced at least 3 tornadoes. One of those tornadoes went right through downtown Paoli. It was an EF1, and they say that it had also damaged the Orange County Courthouse. A newborn is safe after being surrendered in a safe haven baby box at a Carmel Fire Department. The boxes allow for the safe and anonymous surrender of newborns, no questions asked. This is the 4th baby to be left at the same fire station this year, with 3 other babies left in April and May. There have been 35 babies surrendered at baby boxes throughout Indiana since 2017. Now that kids are back in school across Indiana, the state's Attorney General Todd Rokita says it's important for parents to know their rights and their children's rights.
It's not the teacher's job. It's certainly not the government's job to raise our children. It's our job as parents.
Rokita said he's adding a 4th volume to his Parents' Bill of Rights that he released back 2 years ago, and you can read the full document on the Attorney General's website. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Ask you a question. What's 12 times 3? It's 36. How would you like to get a 36% bonus when you invest your money? So if you invest $100,000, you get a $36,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $72,000 bonus. Not only can you get a 36% bonus, you also get a competitive return, an average of 7% a year for the past 10 years. Plus, your money is backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. To learn more, call Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy, at 317-932-9912. This 36% bonus won't last long, so call 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912. Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy, wants to help you earn that 36% bonus at 317-932-9912. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Joe Rogan laid into Joe Biden, and I'm here for all of it. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey today. Kevin's here. And look, I'll tell you what, we've had this conversation many times before. Ethan, are you a Joe Rogan person?
No, we've covered this before. I think he's fine, but to me, he is the dollar store Dick Cavett, and I'd rather just watch reruns of the glory days.
I had forgotten that. And Kev, you are the hipster, cool millennial guy, so you are, of course, very into Rogan. You like Rogan.
I was actually just listening to him this morning on the way to work.
Really?
So when I say this, look, I am a person who accepts that things are things, that I do not understand why they are things. But in this business, in which big part of my job is to understand who and what moved the needle in American society, Joe Rogan is clearly one of those people who is a needle mover. When he says it, tens of millions of people will hear it. And as such, he has a place, whether you think oh my gosh, he's the greatest broadcaster, comedian, whatever of all time, or you think he stinks. It's like Taylor Swift. I don't get it. I think it's ridiculous, but I also understand that people were losing their minds over getting that stupid access code to see her at Lucas Oil Stadium. She's clearly a very relevant person. Now, I'm going to point out the things that I think are ridiculous, but I'm not going to be like, well, nobody would care about that. Same thing with Joe Rogan. He speaks, people care, and he had a very interesting take on Joe Biden's lying and corruption.
Joe Biden's been a goof his whole career. He's always been a goof. He's been caught lying so many times. Yeah. He's so full of shit. There's so much evidence that he's corrupt. Just undeniable evidence of corruption. And the stuff with him and his son, and then the guy who just testified that was business partners with Hunter, who talked about all the different things that Joe was involved with.
Evan Archer.
Yeah. It's undeniable. And the fact that mainstream news is ignoring this, except for right-wing media, it's crazy.
I think he's totally spot on. And my question, I guess because Ethan, you're not really a Rogan listener. So Kev, my question to you is, the people who listen to Joe Rogan, are they undecided / swayable people and his voice carries a lot of weight? Or are the tens of millions of people who listen to Rogan, are they just like he's kind of an echo chamber and they've already made up their mind one way or another and he's just entertainment, or they agree with him on everything?
It seems like most listeners are fairly moderate, I think. Yeah. So I think they can be swayed. And I think it's just, I think the audience is just people that are generally curious.
Okay, and that's kind of where I thought, because you strike me as like the prototypical Rogan listener, and what I mean by that is you're an educated person. You clearly you can you study issues. You're knowledgeable of what's going on. And we've talked about this kind of off air many times, and I don't want you to reveal anything you're not comfortable with. But you're not a hyper political person in the sense of you don't live it every day like someone like Ethan or I might.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So when he speaks, that's a big deal because he's potentially reaching people. It's not an echo chamber. He's reaching and influencing people who could go either way.
Yeah, and he has pretty neutral discussions. I mean, he obviously expresses his beliefs, but it's just kind of a discussion. And
I think he's getting an audience that is outside of cable news because, like you pointed out, Rob, you have your political junkies that whatever their brand is, they're consuming Fox or MSNBC or CNN or Newsmax or One America or whatever silo they happen to belong to. But Rogan covers a more, I guess, disengaged portion of the population, and so has a broader reach than what otherwise might be obtained through those narrower focused organizations.
Well, and it comes back to, and this industry is dealing with this now, obviously WIBC every month, because we have the most fabulous listeners in the entire world and a very loyal audience who believes in us the way we believe in you, and the bond between whatever show it is, whether it's this one, whether it's Tony, whether it's Hammer and Nigel, and the audience is unbreakable, and there's a trust. And that's why when we go to events like at the State Fair, there's just people lined up to come up and say hi and engage and talk about the show. So we are unique in that sense of we have remained. Now, it doesn't mean forever, because obviously we earn that trust and we earn that bond every single day, and that's our job as the broadcasters. We are unique in the sense of WIBC has remained largely immune from the damage being done collectively to the rest of the radio industry, and we keep our very large and loyal audience. But so many people, it seems, have fled traditional talk radio because the Joe Rogans exist, because the Daily Wires exist, and they're seeking a different form of conversation rather than what you may have traditionally gotten, especially on nationally syndicated talk radio.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, that broadcasting has been decentralized and there are more voices in the realm of weighing in the cultural conversation.
I had a conversation with a guy yesterday. I will not name him because I do not want to expose him to publicly being very associated with me or being friends with me, but he is a longtime radio person, has owned radio stations, has managed radio stations, and we were talking about just this thing. And one of the things that I think is going to be very hard going forward, one of the reasons we are successful, this show does this better. And look, we love all the shows on this station. There's super talented people. Everybody does something really well here, and that's why everybody's successful. I think one of the things we do better than anybody else, not just on this station, but in the state of Indiana, is we talk local politics. Nobody talks, whether it's state or hyper-local politics, better than this show. And as such, we get people who otherwise may not even listen to talk radio because, oh my gosh, I know so-and-so. Where else are you going to hear epic rants about local planning commissions or school boards? And we're talented enough to make that interesting, which otherwise might not be interesting. That's why
nobody can do that better than you.
Well,
Rob.
thank you.
You are the king of not just local.
I lived it, and that's why I'm good at it, because I lived it, and I was obsessed with it, and I was in it every single day, and it was my favorite. It was at a different season of my life, but it was my favorite thing to do. But everybody does something different. So we are immune to that, and one of the reasons we're kind of immune to it is because we do so much local stuff. But in the era of Rogan, and in the era of even a Pat McAfee, if you want to even branch out a little further into sports, he does Society. You've got the Daily Wire, you've got Outkick, you've got our good buddy, Dan Dockich is over there. In the era where you can get national politics from everywhere, I wonder, and I was having this conversation yesterday with the guy who's in the know on these sort of things, whether nationally syndicated shows 10 years from now are going to exist in any sort of form as they do today, because why would you seek that out if you can get exactly what you want on the internet somewhere else?
I think they'll exist. It's just going to be a fractured empire because no one is going to be a Rush Limbaugh again. I mean, I hesitate, to never say never, but it's unlikely that somebody with that magnitude of broadcasting talent and the coalescence of opportunity is going to come together again.
I think Clay Travis is a great example of this. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton took Rush Limbaugh's place, for lack of a better term. His syndicator, handpicked them and said, these are the people we're putting out there. If you have run the Rush Limbaugh show, this is the show you're going to run. Clay Travis has been resoundingly successful at Outkick. I mean, that website is a complete juggernaut. It is a game changer. It is consumed by tens of millions of people every single day. The hosts they have, like I said, our old buddy Dan Dockich is over there now. It's just been gangbusters. However, he has struggled in the vacuum of, and nobody thought they were going to be Rush Limbaugh, but Sexton and Clay Travis on that radio show are not game changers or newsmakers. And it's fascinating to me that you can be a game changer on the internet. And it goes back to something I've long said on this show. And I think the Portnoy clip we played earlier, where he's talking about failing to be able to make it because of the regulations that centered around when Penn and Barstool went together, and now I'm buying Barstool back so that I can rid myself of these regulations. I've long said there's people who are super famous on the internet who couldn't do 7 minutes of what we do for 3 hours every day. Now, can we do what they do as well? Maybe not. But when you have to play inside the confines and boxes that terrestrial traditional radio does, it does lend itself to something people have been saying for a long time, which is the industry has got to take a major look at how it governs itself, how it polices itself, how it promotes itself, because other than places like WIBC, and there are other stations in the city, obviously, that are doing okay and that are hanging around for a variety of reasons. But the industry as a collective, just like the music industry refused to get ahead of the downloads 20 plus years ago, and then everything went to download and it cost these people all this money. Same thing's going to happen here. So it's going to be fascinating to see the lay of the landscape, because other than places like this, I think the Rogan-esque format is becoming the way of the future. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, by the way, Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey today. Casey will be back tomorrow. When we come back, some really disturbing news about people's financial situation and how they're having to use their savings to make ends meet. Plus, Matt Ryan, remember him? He was the quarterback for a couple games for the Colts last year. He is blasting his time here in Indianapolis. It's the Kendall and Casey Show.
Stopped on 465
From the north side
We haven't moved on 37
to the south side,
Avoid south side 465
to the west side,
Yeah, stopped on westbound 465
to
again.
the east side.
Gridlock all the way through the east side.
Traffic's a bear.
Drove into a ditch through the tree line.
And
just
Matt Bear,
traffic stop on the right.
He's a beast.
Traffic jam of epic proportion.
Helping you navigate the
Oh, come on.
and the
Let's go.
and the with Matt Bear Traffic, mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-646-7049 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-646-7049. That's 800-646-7049. What do you have to lose? Call 800-646-7049. Again, 800-646-7049.
If your leaky chimney is at it again, there's only one place to call. That's Chimney Solutions. Chimney Solutions has over 20 years of experience inspecting, sweeping, and troubleshooting chimney systems. From repairing your masonry to waterproofing to chimney caps, they handle it all with craftsmanship guarantees. The Chimney Solutions team is Chimney Safety Institute of America certified and members of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. Call Chimney Solutions today at 317-757-6979. Online at chimneyindy.com. That's Chimney Solutions.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
Lighten up, Francis.
And Casey Daniels.
I want to party with you, cowboy. The two of us together, forget it.
On 93 WIBC.
A lot of Americans are having to pull money out of their 401ks to make ends meet. That is not a good thing. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob Kevs here. Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey today. She'll be back tomorrow. So CBS News has the story, Ethan, and according to them, the share of 401k participants taking what they call hardship withdrawals from their accounts rose to 2.4% last year, up from 1.9% in 2021. That's according to the financial services firm Fidelity. That represents the highest share of hardship withdrawals recorded at Fidelity, which the typical share ranges from 2 to 2.3%. So what you are seeing is essentially, Ethan, people are saying, I am unable, based on the income I am earning, to meet the obligations that I have. And as such, I have to turn to something that is supposed to be for my golden years, retirement, whatever you want to call it.
This is a big problem, Rob. First of all, there are many Americans who already don't have a retirement fund to rely on, but among those who do, now withdrawing those funds due to hardship will be compounded 20, 30, 40 possibly years down the line when Social Security is insolvent, in addition to the fact they've already had to pilfer the piggy bank because of the disastrous effects of Bidenomics. So people are going to be super duper screwed. And this is like watching a slow motion train wreck in real time. And I'm not sure if we'll be able to effectively correct the disaster that is coming down the pike.
So obviously, look, if you're a person without a 401k, this may be kind of gibberish to you, but a 401k is a retirement plan. You put money into it. There are certain, depending on how you set up your 401k, there are certain tax benefits. There's a bunch of different ways to do all these sorts of things. Consult your tax professional if you're interested in doing that. But when you typically, if like you withdraw things out of your 401k, there are some penalties. Usually, again, consult your tax professional associated with this. However, it is my understanding that these hardship withdrawals have limited sets of penalties normally otherwise associated. They include medical care, tuition for the worker or their family members, payments to avoid eviction or foreclosure. Boy, too bad some of your tenants didn't have
that would have been nice.
401k. Funeral costs, expenses to repair damage to the employee's principal residence. And you avoid some of those. But even if you avoid the penalties or can avoid the penalties, again, consult your tax professional, you're still pulling something out of your what you're counting on when your income is not going to be as great. And you're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul.
You're also putting off your ability to save and compound the value of that savings by robbing the piggy bank now because, you might theoretically be able to catch up, but not on the interest lost. And the later you donate to your retirement account, the fewer benefits you will receive in the long term. So by doing this, yes, it's necessary. And I absolutely sympathize with the position these people unfairly find themselves in due to the environment created by the negligence of the presidency, but it's going to create problems down the line.
And when we look at our society, and I wonder this, because obviously different corporations are set up differently for a variety of reasons, but a lot of corporations, however, fewer and fewer, it is my understanding, are doing what they call matching contributions to the 401k. And I wonder, I was talking to somebody, this would have been Monday, about where small businesses are, and as fewer small businesses are being a thing and the squeeze being put on small businesses, as fewer small businesses exist in the marketplace to be competitive from a benefits/pay perspective, how much longer mega corporations, for lack of a better term, will continue to offer more generous retirement type benefits because they simply won't have to.
This was a side effect of Obamacare because there was an insurance regulation as it regarded full-time employees. And remember, many corporations very shortly thereafter adjusted their employees to be 30 hours or less. And now in a post-Obamacare world, many people no longer have that one full-time job. Instead, they have 2 or 3 part-time jobs, something that because of the economic pressure, you have become all too familiar with.
Yes, and I'm now back at my other part-time job and very happy to be back there and having a great time.
And I work multiple jobs too.
Well, and so and you are in, look, I don't, you never say never, right? But I don't foresee myself ever venturing back into the I own a business game, which I did for the first basically 15 years of my adult life. That's how I earned my living before I came here, was I owned a variety of businesses. And some of them were markedly successful. Some of them were markedly unsuccessful. That's the game of being in business. You try things, some things work, some things don't. But I don't ever see myself venturing back into the own my own business game just because the government has made it so hard to actually own. Like when I started my business, my primary business by which I earned my living in the mid 2000s, it was pretty easy to start up a business. I'm talking like file the paperwork with the Secretary of State's office, get a tax ID number, get a bank account. Did that in a matter of days, and here we go, and we're all on our way, and it was a magical new adventure. By the time I was done with that as a primary source of income, I had started multiple other businesses during that time period, and each time I would go every couple years or whatever, it would become harder than the last time. And I don't know how guys like you do it, because it just seems like a complete dumpster fire to try to sign checks on the front these days.
Well, I had the incredible good fortune of a lot of the legwork already being done, in the sense that the business was built by my family before purchasing it and taking over operation from there. So without having the legwork already done, it is incredibly difficult on the front end to establish a business because of the prohibitive costs associated with the regulatory regulatory environment that government imposes.
All right, before we take a break, though, I do want to say this to all of our business owners out there. Thank you for what you do.
You're welcome.
And you are obviously included in that. We always think, hey, you got to thank the law enforcement today, and you got to thank a soldier today, and you got to thank a teacher today, and you should do all those things.
It's rare that somebody thanks their landlord. I appreciate you, Rob.
And look, I am always amazed at how you almost never hear a government entity thank the taxpayers. Like, everything they do, it's never thank you to the taxpayers who we took this money from in order to do this. And so if you're a business owner out there today, thank you for what you do. I know from experience what you go through, not your exact business, but the general premise. And if you're someone who has never owned a business and you just work for someone, which is great, thank that person. Even if you don't like your job, thank that person, because I can assure you, especially if you work for a small business of some sort, they've gone through a lot to make sure you have food on your table and clothes on your kids' backs and a roof over your head. And again, is every boss the best? No. Is every business owner the best to work for? No. Are there some that are markedly better than others? Yes. But you have no idea when it comes to taxes and regulations and sweat and effort. And even if you work for a business that you're one of 3 employees, thank that person, because they go through a lot of crap for you to get paid. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Matt Ryan, he was the quarterback for the Colts last year. It was, of course, a complete dumpster fire for Indianapolis, and he is ripping into the Colts. What obligation do you have when you leave somebody who gave you like $35 million? What obligation do you have to be nice to those people after you leave? We'll talk about that coming up next. 93 WIBC.
Indy, stop spoiling your summers, painting year after year. Do what your neighbor Mark did. He called Rhino Shield.
It's a 2-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad. With Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
Rhino Shield's ceramic coating is specifically formulated for our climate.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
Indy, this just in. Take advantage of Rhino Shield's summer savings. Get $1,000 off plus 0% interest for 18 months.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Welcome to Tire Discounters.
Thanks. I heard it could save $200.
Yes, sir. Up to $200 on any set of Cooper tires.
Like it.
And when you buy any set of 4 tires, you get a free alignment.
Sounds great.
And we sand corrosion off all the mating surfaces.
Huh?
And we double hand torque the lug nuts. Huh? And we wash your wheels.
Whoa, so when you guys say C-Store for details,
they're all good things.
Save up to $200 off any set of 4 Cooper tires. C-Store for details.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They acted quickly. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. A gun was taken from a student on a school bus in New Whiteland. The bus driver was tipped off by another student, and the driver then took the gun and called the cops. Superintendent of Clark Pleasant Community Schools, Tim Edsel.
We applaud the actions of that student. We applaud the actions of the bus driver in acting swiftly, promptly, and appropriately.
The student who brought it on board was taken into custody. No one was hurt. President Biden says he'll be traveling to Vietnam soon. The president told a group of donors in New Mexico Tuesday that Vietnam wants to change its relationship with the U.S. and become a partner. Biden last month said Vietnam's leader wanted to meet with him at the G20 summit in New Delhi in September. This comes as the U.S. is trying to increase its influence in Southeast Asia to counter China. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Have you lost Indiana Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I had changed the locks, didn't even know where she was living. And then one night she calls to say she's getting treatment. Can I drive? I almost hung up. But then I thought, that's my kid. I chose to put away the hurt and the fear and just see my girl.
Addiction is a disease. Standing by a loved one as they fight it will test your faith, patience, and sanity. But it's possible when you see the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
So if someone gives you $30 million, what obligation do you have to be nice to that person? 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. In the case of Matt Ryan, apparently not much. Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey today. Kev's here. So Matt Ryan was the quarterback for part of last year for the Colts. And if you're sometimes we very rarely do sports on this show, but if we do, it's because it has a regional or societal impact, usually that extends beyond sports. And in this case, I thought the comments by Matt Ryan would spark an interesting conversation. Matt Ryan was the longtime quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. He had played in a Super Bowl. He was he's towards the end of his career. He still hasn't technically retired yet. And the Colts last year, many of you will remember, after Carson Wentz felt that they were a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl caliber team. They went out and got Matt Ryan. Clearly was a lot more than the quarterback. It was a complete disaster. They went 4-13 last year, and it was a total dumpster fire, and Ryan got hurt in the middle of the season. They took him out. And he was asked by, I believe this was The Athletic, to describe his time there in Indianapolis, here in Indianapolis. And I'm going to read the quote. I'm going to say hit instead of the word that I can't say that would get us in trouble with our governing body in Washington, D.C. Quote, I mean, it was a hit show, you know. It was a hit show of 18 months is basically the best way to describe it. They went on to say, but I think everybody in our family handled it well and came out of it stronger and a really good sport and in a really good spot. They gave you $30 million if you're Matt Ryan, which is what, according to Over the Cap, Matt Ryan made last year in the National Football League. Were the Colts a dumpster fire? Yeah. But if someone gives you $30 million and you left in one piece, you weren't held against your will, you chose to come here, you kind of had to know when you were coming to the Colts what you were getting into. And if you do any history on this organization, unless they have the best quarterback in the league or one of them, and Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck is their quarterback, how the Colts have just been a dumpster fire. They're nearly 40 years here. Would you be surprised what you were walking into? What obligation, if someone hands you $30 million, do you, when you leave, have to, at the very least, just keep your mouth shut?
We live in a very upfront society when it comes to business. The only obligation one has to be nice is if there is an NDA on the table, a non-disclosure agreement. That's why those things exist, for when the people whom do not like doing business with each other, or a variety of other other reasons, then do not have to disclose that fact after doing business. So, I mean, look, if the Colts wanted him to stay silent, they could have done an NDA. They didn't, but that is a byproduct sometimes of doing business with people you don't like. You don't have to be nice. There's no obligation.
And by the way, I was incorrect on the actual salary, and I'm terribly sorry. According to the
lower or higher?
Well, NFL's a little hard to judge because there's cap hits, there's bonuses, there's the Falcons, I think, picked up part of his deal. Last year, according to Over the Cap, it was $36,705,882. Now, I don't know if the Colts pay it. It's if anybody familiar with the NFL is familiar, it's like you got to have a PhD in rocket science and physics and mathematics to figure it out. So, but let's just say for that, it may be slightly more, slightly less. He's right about that organization. And I thought the other reason I wanted to do a segment on this is because that organization, sort of when they had Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, the majority of the time has been a franchise that has failed to make the playoffs. They have failed to be competitive. You think about the days of Jeff George and, all of that. And then obviously the past 5 years have been a complete train wreck for the most part. And yet these are the people that we societally handed over $1 billion in tax increases, primarily on poor and middle class people, so that their billionaire owner could have a free stadium. And I think part of it is another example that when you don't have to pay for your own stuff, it's easier to not succeed. Now, I don't doubt that Jim Irsay probably wants to win. But Jim Irsay, for a guy who wants to win, does a lot of really goofy, squirrely stuff. And again, unless he has one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league, or in the case of Peyton Manning, in the history of the NFL at his disposal, he's not been very effective in terms of winning, but he can't lose money.
You'll be much more capable of answering this question than I am, but is the premature firing of Peyton Manning analogous to our curse of the Bambino? Will it be remembered that way?
Well, look, you got Andrew Luck, and obviously he went out a disaster.
Yeah, he was a stinker.
Under a cloud of suspicion. Now, he was great while he was here, and he was playing, and those first 3 years were phenomenal.
Was he Super Bowl great, though?
Well, but it's easy when a guy has, a serious neck injury at 30, whatever Peyton Manning is, to say, hey, we got to move on off that. We've got a chance to get the number one pick. This guy is a transformational talent. I'm not so much mad about that. What I get upset about,
but Peyton went on to win another Super Bowl.
He did. But again, it's not like the guy had a Super Bowl year and he was phenomenal. He missed the entire season and he had a serious neck injury. Should they have kept him in hindsight? Yes. I'm not mad about hindsight. What I get upset about, though, is when you hear these sorts of descriptions from people who leave the Colts, it seems like quite a bit, that it is this poorly run organization. And then I sit back and go, but they don't have to be well run because they can't lose money, because their primary asset, which if you look at a National Football League team, other than the franchise itself, their primary asset is the stadium in which they play, is paid for by somebody else. There's no way Jim Irsay would be able to make money without the protections that come in and are associated with the National Football League, and without lawmakers who forced people like us to pay higher taxes for him to have a free stadium. Ethan, when you got your properties that you manage today, did you have to buy them?
Yes.
The business that you now run, did you have to buy it?
Yes.
You were not just handed by lawmakers. Lawmakers did not just go, let's tax Kevin more so Ethan can have a free house to rent to people, right?
But Rob, if we don't hand them millions of dollars of taxpayer money, then surely some other city will, and then we're going to have a major sports team in like Toledo, Ohio, or Martinsville, the Martinsville Colts.
That's always the argument, right? We're still paying, or at least very recently, I think we still are paying on the Hoosier Dome, and now we're going to be paying on Lucas Oil Stadium forever. And the same argument can be had with the Simon family who owns the Pacers. They're gajillionaires, and yet we spend tens of millions of taxpayer dollars just very recently to do major renovations to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Why are we, and I never can get a clear answer for this, why do I, someone who does not live in Indianapolis, I'm a Bears fan. Now, I have to root for the Colts by force because I've got a financial interest in them having playoff games and people being downtown. But why am I, someone who doesn't even live in the county in which the Colts play, forced to pay higher taxes so that Jim Irsay, who is a billionaire, can have a free stadium handed to him? I've always heard the argument at the beginning goes, well, having Lucas Oil Stadium is going to attract people to this and to that. People are not staying in hotels on the regular in Brownsburg, Indiana, or Greenwood, Indiana, or Fishers, Indiana, because they're doing something at Lucas Oil Stadium. You know where those people are staying? They're staying in the greater Indianapolis area. So even that ridiculous argument, well, you should want to pay higher taxes, it'll help economic development. Not for me. It's not doing anything for me. And yet every time I buy a sandwich or a soda, hey, tax up, buddy. Here's your Jim Irsay tax. All right, let's take a break. Ethan's in for Casey today. When we come back, Abdul's going to join us. The latest, the gossip, the rumor, the behind-the-scenes mumbo-jumbo on what happened, what really went down with Greg Pence and Suzanne Krauts. Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, it's not reverse racism, it's just progressivism. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Let me ask you a question. What's 12 times 3? It's 36. How would you like to get a 36% bonus when you invest your money? So if you invest $100,000, you get a $36,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $72,000 bonus. Not only can you get a 36% bonus, you also get a competitive return, an average of 7% a year for the past 10 years. Plus, your money is backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. To learn more, call Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy, at 317-932-9912. This 36% bonus won't last long, so call 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912. Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy, wants to help you earn that 36% bonus at 317-932-9912. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
Do you get sinus infections, congestion, sinus pressure and pain, above your eyes, below your eyes, sinus headaches? You've gone to the doctor, you've visited urgent care over and over again, and it's always the same thing. I know. Let's try antibiotics and nasal sprays. But the sinus infections keep coming back. The good news? Relief is possible. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of Indianapolis Sinus Center called balloon sinuplasty. Imagine the relief of not having to deal with your sinus infections anymore. Set an appointment today with Indianapolis Sinus Center and find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Call 317-528-9650. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The always ready for breakfast deal.
Going to bed already? Yep. Breakfast at Mickey D's tomorrow. So, sooner I go to bed, sooner it'll be morning. Sooner I'll be at Mickey D's.
This is actually brilliant.
You can come too. Turn out that light.
There's a deal for every breakfast strategist at McDonald's.
Right now, try our 2 for $5 breakfast with tasty options like a sausage McMuffin with egg. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
I'm a grandson, a son, I'm an employee and a mentor. I'm a father to 2 beautiful kids and a husband to an amazing wife. And I have a substance use disorder. In other words, I'm living in recovery with an addiction. And now that you know, will you let it change how you see me? It's okay to see my addiction, but I want you to know it's people choosing to see me as a person that changed my life.
See the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
And Doug.
With Liberty Mutual, you can customize your car insurance to save hundreds. Here's what those savings sound like in dollar bills. Here's what it sounds like in quarters. And here's what that sounds like in cryptocurrency, a thing I totally understand. 1010, I am money, cha-ching, beep boop, $sign.
Only pay for what you need at LibertyMutual.com. Savings may vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Listen to Hammer and Nigel weekdays, Monday through Friday, for your chance to win a $50 gift card to Jay's Lobster and Fish Market or a $100 gift card on Friday. More info at WIBC.com.
Oh my goodness, there's so much drama going on in the Indiana Republican Party, and we are here for all of it. 93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. And when we think rumor, when we think gossip, when we think blatant innuendo and all sorts of drama creating, we think of one man. He is here with us now. The one and only Abdullah Keep-Shabazz. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. Got a clean bill of health from my doctor. Don't have to go back for 6 months, so we're all good.
Well, that makes me very happy. It'll make some people just livid, but makes me very happy. All right, so let's start with, and look, yesterday was a terrible day for me. We had to talk about just what a bad time old Fredo Pence and Silent Suzanne Crouch are having. Look, terrible for both of them. The big scuttlebutt, the blow up over her picking him, maybe picking him, considering him for lieutenant governor, and then she comes out and says, oh, heck no, you got to run like everybody else. I love the drama. What saith you?
Well, it's interesting on the surface. It really is. But there's a little bit more to the story that'll be out in this weekend's cheat sheet, which you can get a subscription at indypolitics.org. So get that shameless self-promotion plug out the way.
And for people who don't know, you have what you call a cheat sheet. You could subscribe to it, and you give the gossip, rumor, and innuendo that people can't get anywhere else.
Exactly.
Perfect.
That turns out to be true, actually.
A lot of times it does.
Later on.
And you're totally shameless when it doesn't. You just go, I didn't tell you it was going to be true. I said it could be false.
Exactly. We wrote months ago that as Suzanne Crouch was running for governor, the name that kept popping up was Greg Pence as a possible candidate for lieutenant governor, to the point where some of the South Side Indianapolis lawmakers, because remember the 6th district stretches across Perry, Franklin, and Decatur Township. That
finally gerrymandered. Very well done.
The southern portion of Marion County. That has some state lawmakers who are looking at actually getting ready to file to run for Greg Pence's seat.
Mike Speedy was one of them, right?
Yeah, he was one of them.
So and this is what's very interesting, and why we talked to Merritt earlier about this, and I'm glad you're here because you don't, as a state rep, start just showing up to Lincoln days that aren't even in the county you represent without thinking, hey, this is probably going to happen.
Exactly. So there's that portion of the equation. The question is, who's been pushing for Greg Pence to become lieutenant governor? Was it Suzanne Crouch? Was it somebody closer to Greg Pence? My sources tell me it's kind of leaning toward the Pence side of things. But I'll know for sure in a couple of days. It'll be out in this week's cheat sheet.
So that's very interesting. And this is where, look, there's so much intrigue, and we don't do a lot of insider baseball here, but I maintain this isn't because of the names involved and what it actually represents. If indeed that's true that, hey, they're putting Pence out there, how do you live in a world where Suzanne Crouch never stomped this out? And not only should she not do it, you got Robert Vane, who's a very good spokesman. We've known Robert. We love Robert. He's been on this show. He's out there going, yeah, he's under consideration. I mean, it just is a total. I refuse to believe Suzanne Crouch had so little institutional control in her campaign that a spokesman is going, yeah, he's under consideration.
You see, but if I were Robert, like I said, I've known Robert, for darn near 20 years now. What I said is, yes, he's under consideration, but so a lot of folks are under consideration, and I just left it at that. And just so as a group, as a sort of a group thing, like we're looking at lots of different candidates.
Is the Pence name that toxic? Because within 12 hours of us talking about this on our show, she sprints over to Brian Howie and goes, "Hey, Greg's gonna have to kick rocks and run like everybody else." She must have got a heck of a lot of backlash in a very short period of time to do that herself.
All I can say is, having known Suzanne Crouch for years, also when she probably read that, the three words out of her mouth were, "I'll use the initials WTF," because I could see Suzanne Crouch kind of maybe sort of losing it over all that. So the question is, who has been pushing Greg Pence? We're going to hopefully have some details this weekend.
It is the Kendall Casey Show. Abdul, our guest. Speaking of the governor's race, I like this now because once this Chambers guy, Brad Chambers, gets in, you're saying it could be next week, maybe the week after, right?
Yeah, easily in the next couple of weeks.
But he's getting in.
I believe so.
Okay, so when he gets in, you'll have 6 people running. There's a world where 20% wins this primary.
Oh, easily.
And that means it brings everybody into the equation, including, and nothing would make me happier, not because even I'm a big fan of the guy, but just I know how many people would make miserable that are your friends over in the establishment. Curtis Hill could win.
Yes, Curtis could win the nomination. I would argue that right now, with Brad Chambers not in, the odds favor Suzanne Crouch because that 40% number I've talked about in the past. It's about 45% of the establishment are Republican primary voters. The other 55-60% are sort of anti-establishment. And like I said, real quickly here, when Dan Coates ran back into 2010, he had multiple candidates. He won about 40% of the vote. When Dick Lugar ran against Richard Murdoch in the primary in 2012, he lost with 40% of the vote. So I would say the more people that got in, the better it was for Suzanne Crouch. If Brad Chambers gets in, that's a whole different creature.
Is there a world where Holcomb, because you know Holcomb and Hupfer, they love this Chambers guy, and they clearly want him to run. Is there a world, though, where they look at that and go, ooh, yeah, we don't really like Suzanne, and that's well known apparently now that silent Suzanne, even though she won't say anything bad about Holcomb, and Holcomb are not getting along, and they're not friends, and she don't want anything to do with him. Is there a world, though, where they go, well, we don't really like her either, but she's a heck of a lot better than Curtis Hill, so, hey, Chambers, don't get in?
No, I think it's a little bit too late for that.
The ball has started rolling down the hill. The snowball has started rolling down the hill.
Exactly, because Brad Chambers would not get in the race for governor without sort of a tacit blessing from the current governor, Eric Holcomb.
Remember at the end of the baseball games, they used to say copying or replaying this game, express written consent is prohibited without that. So he's got an express written consent to get it this far.
Metaphorically speaking, yes.
Okay, yeah. Abdul's our guest. We're talking a little bit about the governor's race on the Republican side. How do you stand out when there's 6 people running? Like if you are Braun, let's face it, Braun is not exactly Mr. Entertainment. If you're Curtis, if you're Doden, who again, not exactly Mr. Entertainment, how do you stand out when you know 20 to 25% could win the thing?
Well, first of all, you got to be organized. You have to be organized in every county. You got to have county coordinators, township people, folks who go out, knock on doors, because you got 9 months until the primary. The primary is not until May, so you got basically 9 months to get your message out to the voters. Number 2, what makes you different from the other candidates? What makes Curtis Hill different from Mike Braun? What makes him different from Eric Doe? What makes him different from Suzanne Crouch? What do you bring to the table that is attractive to the voters? Now, granted, Indiana is a Republican state, the leaning Republican, very deep red. Of course, less red in some other places. But after 20-something odd years of having total control, the question is going to be, what are you going to do differently, sort of kick and sort of restart the engine?
Is there a world when you got this many people running, and obviously they would throw their grandma off a cliff, many of these people, if it meant they get to be governor? And I don't think Indiana's so red and Jennifer McCormick is a lunatic, so I'm not sure she can actually capitalize. And Rainwater has 7 cents to his name, so I don't think he could capitalize. But is there a world where the feelings get super hurt and people get super nasty and this thing gets pretty dicey in November based on hurt feelings? And, well, I'm not voting for her because she said blah, 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 or I'm not voting for him because he blah, blah, blah. Does that exist?
Not yet. But the first sign of that will be actually on September 11th.
Oh.
Because the Hamilton County Republican Party is having like a public safety first responder sort of cookout deal. And I want to say Suzanne, Eric, Mike, and Curtis will all be there.
Oh, you and I should totally go and dress like the Dumb and Dumber guys.
I say more Gene Wilder and Cleveland Little and Blazing Saddles. be more appropriate.
Hey, what are you working on this Saturday for the very fabulous Abdul at Large, which you can hear 1 to 3 p.m. here on WIBC?
Actually, I had a conversation this week with my old criminal law professor, a guy named David Harris at St. Louis University, now teaches at the University of Pittsburgh. And we sort of walked through the whole Trump indictment situation. Indictment 101. Like, what is an indictment? From what you've seen publicly, what evidence does the government have? What evidence? How does Donald Trump's freedom of speech defense work? Which I don't think is going to work at all. Because I actually read the whole thing because it's not speech, it's actions. And so we had a really good conversation about all that, just sort of to explain everything to the audience. Hey, here's what's going on.
He is an author, a broadcaster, a provocateur, and most importantly, a gossip monger, and that's why we love him. The one and only Abdul Hakim Shabazz. You're the best. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, thank you.
And that's going to do it for us today. Thanks to Ethan Hatcher for filling in. Thanks to Kevin doing his usual outstanding job on the board. And most importantly, thanks to you for listening. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Tony Katz coming up next. Kendall Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Hey, it's Hammer and Nigel for Window Nation. Feeling the heat? High temps aren't the only thing getting you hot under the collar. Wait till you see your energy bills. The solution? I recommend my friends at Window Nation for new energy-efficient windows. Your home stays comfortable and cool, and you will save on those high energy bills. Not to mention the incredible savings Window Nation is offering right now.
Get 50% off any style window. Bows, bays, double hangs, sliders, 50% off. Plus, put 0 down and make 0 payments with 0% interest for 24 months. And this week only, receive an additional 10% off. So, maintain your chill, lower your bill, and fill your home with new Window Nation windows. Get 50% off all style windows and pay nothing for 2 years. 866-90-NATION. Call this week, get an additional 10% off. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you. How would you like to free up some serious cash? Or at the very least, cut your monthly payments by $1,000 or so each month? Hey, what's up? It's Hammer here from the Hammer and Nigel Show. People are doing that